jungles of Southeast Asia, it is time for the Ed and Rock Podcast.
So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, right now, children of all ages, because you guys are tuning in right now because it's the internet, it's post-election day-ish. And I just wanted to say one thing before I bring on my amazing guests. Throughout this whole pandemic, throughout this whole election anxiety, I just want to make sure that one thing is clear. Regardless of who wins the outcome of the election, I just wanted to let all of you know, do not let this distract you from the fact that the Los Angeles Dodgers are still the World Series champions. Okay, let me repeat that. Do not let this just distract you from the fact that my Los Angeles Dodgers are World Series champions after 32 freaking years. And on that note, let me bring on my awesome guests. They are part of this awesome podcast that airs every Thursday at 8 p.m. Pacific time. I also have to specify because I have friends on the East Coast and on Mountain Time. And what's up, boys? Ora! I'll explain the meaning of that for those that don't know. But I'll bring them on one at a time. First one up is Mr. Dan Ochoa, Mr. Stephen Bowman, and Miss Danna Kiel.
Woo-hoo! What's up?
How is everyone doing tonight?
Yeah, doing okay.
Better than last night at the same time.
Doing okay.
Better than last night at the same time.
I'm still alive. I'm still alive.
It's no secret. This has been very, very anxious, very eager, very. Tell me what have you guys been feeling? Seriously.
So
how about you, Danna?
The way that I can describe it is like I just feel like I tried to stay in a holding pattern. So like I tried to stay how do you say shielded from any information yesterday. Like that was the goal. And DJ D Nice, who is the awesome great DJ on Instagram, who's been like spinning and spinning, like he spun all day yesterday. So I listened and just stayed plugged in there. My son came running in the kitchen. My son, who does not even, over the years, has not even been a big talker. Like he comes in and like, Biden is winning. He's da-da-da. And this is like early. Like, so Biden got like 89 electoral. And I'm just like, not now. And then by the time I finished whatever it was I had to do, I flip on the TV and it's like this thing. And so there just came a point where we got stuck because Michigan and Wisconsin hadn't been called. PA still hasn't been called. Georgia, surprisingly enough, hasn't been called. But here's the thing, I'll take it. Like, I don't know, Georgia hasn't been called. And so we saw Arizona go. So it was just once it kind of got to where it seemed like it just wasn't, we were at a stop last night. I was like, okay, I'm not going to become sad because I don't want to send out that spiritual vibration. I'm scared to get happy because I don't want to be sad if I get happy. And that is thwarted. So it was kind of like, can I freeze myself in this position and go to bed frozen in my mind, like holding this space. So that's kind of like how I'm just like literally that stiff and believing for the best.
Oh man. Oh my, see the comments already pouring in. Are we gonna talk about shrooms? Wow, Boris, this early. Wow.
We could.
Stefan, look at Stefan's eyes. Wow.
This would be the show on
Stacy, right here, because I think her car is on fire. That's what it means. So.
Her car is on fire. Yeah. Oh man.
Could you imagine doing one of these podcasts on shrooms? Just a bunch of people staring at the.
It was experimental. That one time we just drank on camera and excessively.
Oh, I have no idea what that is.
Exactly, and it was comical. People were falling. I sounded like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Puerto Rico. It was
even had the
bad.
eyes popping out and the tongue swelling out.
There's only very few people that can get away with that, and the two people that I know that do very well live is a gentleman by the name of Shane Smith from Vice, And of course, Joe Rogan is a key. Who knows what he's done? So
I always enjoyed back during the.
What happened, Stacy? Not yet. The way these protests are going. Oh my goodness.
So people are protesting downtown? Is that what's happening?
I know there was I think it was Stefan that I told about. I'm part of the Citizen app. I don't know if you've heard about it, Dana.
Oh yeah, no, I've
heard about it. Don't have it.
Yeah, so I got an alert right away that on Flower and I think 18th Street, there was an unlawful assembly, and the magical pile of bricks showed up. Stefan.
Oh wow. Wow, somebody set that up, huh?
Then the only video we have of those being put out is a cop car doing it. That's the only video we have. There is no other video. It's a cop car putting bricks out, and that was happening in a certain state. Gosh, I'd have to look it up. But that's the only video we have. And
yes, they're proposition results. Yes.
Result, though. I mean, that's the weird part. Like, which one? Because I need to look at those and how they went. I know how I voted.
Yeah.
Well,
it was interesting. Like, things didn't go as I thought, and I felt like maybe I'm too presumptuous about societal progress. I don't know. And so it was interesting the things that that did or didn't go. But we studied those hard. I studied them so hard. So
I mean, I was big on, of course, Prop 22, simply because I working 1099-C for a whole year and being a musician has a lot of perks, and people wanted to make it about unionization and necessarily. I was like, no, that's not really the case here. But the big one, and I'm sure I was disappointed, was Proposition 21. Local government rent control. It did not pass. And that's a doozy, because this is going to allow governments to establish rent control on residential properties over 15 years old. Where are you living at now? That's the problem.
Wait, I don't rent.
A lot of I'm still a renter, a future buyer, but I know how old my property is, and I'm not in the LA area. I have a plethora of friends that are, and it's bad. That means your landlord, it will hike up your rent, probably annually. Like it's been going, it's just going to get worse.
But what is the percentage? What's the percentage, Ed?
I believe I've seen up to as low as 10%.
Oh, wow. Okay.
As high as 15.
Okay.
If you and the landlord don't really vibe. And I've seen that countless number of times. However, Dan, there's a kind of a twist to this. There's a very big community of transplants in LA. Okay. How do you get them to move out? Meaning they're not LA natives. They're basically the quote unquote hipsters of the community, which everyone knows who they are and where they stay at. Natives of LA want to move into these places that can't afford it. So, Jeffrey from, South Bend, Indiana, trust fund baby that's over here living in Silver Lake.
Oh,
talking about gentrification?
Yes, I didn't want to say the word, but
and I was gonna say you got to say it because I was like, okay, well, who are the hipsters? Like, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
My landlord has raised my rent $50 a year for the last 4 years.
That adds up, dude.
Well, but also
$200
in 4 years. But Marcus, where do you live? Because in LA County, that's illegal up until now.
Oh, like Stacy, my rent from 1400 to 17 something. Whoa, that's ridiculous.
My wife and I's first apartment, we got in there at $795. We moved out when they were deciding to put it up to $950. This was, early 2000s. No,
thank you. You might as well buy a house.
But, but the law, or whatever you call those, the policy on that is like 3% every year maximum. Like it's really, if you know the law on it, because our landlord actually, who's been I can only say patient with me, but she would come in and work with talk with us about it. But whatever she wanted to hike to, like I would do the math, because I'm like, in love, things don't get fixed around here very quickly. So I'm grateful that you're working with us. But if you're but by the same token, I don't want to feel taken advantage of. So if the law says you
absolutely
50%. And I'm a math person, so I know what that round number is. I'll give you rounding to the 10th, but for the most part, you're not going to get me for more than whatever that number is.
And that's the awareness, Stefan, that I try to raise with young adults, because I'm almost in education. When they're going through their adult transition, Stefan, what's the first thing they're going to learn about? Paying bills.
Oh yeah.
And paying taxes. And how do you tell them, hey man, it's awesome you worked 40 hours a week and you're getting paid $15 an hour, but guess how much your paycheck is going to be? And that they assume, oh, it's going to be $200. I'm like, no, Dan, can you explain to them how much their paycheck's going to be? And Dan pretty much says, hey, this is what you're going to pay. And unfortunately, this all goes through the government, and sometimes where your money's going.
I get but we get taxed more on our place to live, on our food prices, on our medical bills. These are all private industries that actually charge you more than you actually pay in taxes. So it's something important to remember is that taxes seem high, but they're not as high as what you're getting screwed over in mortgages and rents. Mortgages are a little better now because of lower APRs. But like people that are renting, your food prices that keep going up, the price of fuel, the price of energy, all that is going up. And there is nobody looking after you or anybody else in any party to make sure your wages are going up with it.
Right.
No one's making sure that's happening.
Part-time nowadays. Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what? Funny that Boris should bring that up, that 40 hours a week is part-time nowadays because of inflation.
Right.
Supply and demand. I'll give you an example, Dana. When I was working as an independent contractor, both as a video editor in the summer and driving Lyft. I only drove Lyft, and everyone's going to ask why. And I don't know if anyone knows why, but Lyft's customer service is much better. The response time is quicker, and they treat their drivers a lot better than they do in Uber. That's why I ripped the Uber stick off my car and just drove Lyft. And
I drove Lyft for a year and a half. I just got back soon.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then I was a perfect star driver. I never got a bad rating. No one ever vomited in my car, Stefan.
Did you give out candy?
Oh yeah, like hi.
You have some candy back there.
Where are you from? Oh, you're from New York. Hey, you want to go eat a pie? And it was a great experience. Don't get me wrong. But where I had a community going there is all my native Los Angelinos that were riding with me. They would see the hat, ask me, quiz me, and I'm like, I'm one of you. Don't worry about it. But then I would get quite the contrary. Then I would get people from New York City. I would get them from New England. I would get them from DC. And might I add, I mean, no offense to people from Florida, but all you Miami folks need to stay over there. Don't come over here. You guys are weird. You guys believe in some really interesting conspiracy theories. And not to mention, Dana, they're kind of low-key racist, to be honest with you.
Very much. We talk about it being the stabbing. Low-key Trayvon Martin. Come on. And then the other guy who was killed last year, Stand Your Ground. The fact that they fucking have Stand Your Ground, that means that anybody can fucking kill anybody at any fucking time. And also, but they did vote for the minimum wage to go up statewide. So, they're stabby, they're awful, they're racist.
Yeah.
They did,
Good wages.
And no, it's funny, Stefan, because I was talking to my friend from he's in Miami-Dade, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, this is why your grandparents come to retire. You know that? And I'm like, not my grandparents. I don't know whose grandparents you're talking about. He's like, well, we had a California invasion here for a while. I go, I didn't know that, but okay. But my biggest thing with Florida is oh, wait a minute. What did Stacy say here?
Some of the best death metal comes from Florida.
Yeah, exactly. And some of the best bands come from there.
Some of the worst sounding, but good death metal.
Uber tried to claim they couldn't afford their contract with rental companies for their lease program over a month ago, but spent over $300 million on ads for Yes on Prop 22. I believe it. Yes.
Uber.
I'm not claiming that these rideshare companies are perfect in any way.
Right.
But it should definitely still be a side hustle for people that need supplemental income, especially for school teachers. I know a lot of school teachers that are doing it.
Well, that was the thing, is watching your show with you had a couple of guys, you had Witt on, and you had, who else was on for the Proposition show that went on for like 3 hours?
My friend Omar. Yes, we were
Omar and Witt.
Every single proposition, Dana. We went over it thoroughly and just kind of discussed our thoughts on it. And Prop 22 was the one that came up because it's a ripple effect.
Right.
It's definitely a ripple effect, and nobody sees it that way. But it does affect anyone that'll begin working 1099-C contracted work, whether they know it or not.
People had a lot of different things that they were bringing up. I talked to many people on it, but basically, when I went to vote on it, I voted on what the people that actually do the work asked me to vote on. And so it went against my intuition of what would be right, but I went, you guys want me to vote yes on it, and you're the guys doing it? Oh, okay. Here you go.
Well, I heard that Dana, don't get me wrong. I always listen to the opposing arguments because that's the way you're supposed to, debate. That's how grown-ups have conversations nowadays, instead of, oh no, fake news. Oh no, Stefan, you're fake news, Stefan.
Grown-ups,
you're fake news.
No, grown-ups don't listen to QAnon. So
you know what? I did a little of both. Like, I didn't once I got out of the car, which I was grateful, I saw that everybody wanted yes on 22. I studied, and then I also, because there was so much mail, I looked at what the folks that I agree with, and I don't necessarily I don't vote down any one ballot completely. I try to vote down the ballot, meaning that I'm going to vote for everything, but I look at everything still. Like, even though I think I got a Democratic Party one that I agreed with most of their things, I still voted on the dialysis one, which I think was 21 or whichever that one was.
It was 23.
23. Okay, now I was going to say, and you're right, it's up above. People, the people on dialysis wanted us to vote no, but all these other people wanted us to vote yes. And I just felt like I do get this idea that if these places are not as clean as they need to be and they need to be regulated more, I absolutely get that we want to do that. But if the people who are on dialysis fear not being able to access their care, then I'm going to vote with them, because there's got to be a way for you to straighten the place out without the people who need this service being without. You can't, it's like, I live here, so you can't come in and clean my house on top of me and just, fuck, we're going to have to work together. So the reason I certainly want, the healthy, so I agree with you. It's not like, I don't just, vote and not whatever, but I just kind of look at who's going to win, who's going to whatever. And you have to, one of my friends, he has a platform called I Love Black People. But one of the things that he said, and we all talk about, is vote your interest. Yeah. At the end of the day, I consider myself card carrying Democratic, but if the folks who are on dialysis need me to say no, and the Democratic Party wants me to say yes, I'm still going to have to work with the folks that are on dialysis. I'm going to vote with them. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what makes the most sense.
Humanity first, man.
that was the whole thing with how I did my voting. It wasn't on party line. I actually threw out the ones. I actually read them, and I threw out the things they put on our desk. Here's what Joe and Kamala, here's what Trump wants you to vote on. I went, nope, I'm throwing it all out. I'm going to look. It was a scare tactic. They all are. If they scared the drivers into thinking they pull from state CA if 22 not passed. California is one of their highest demand states. They would have pulled and would have accommodated, or they never would have pulled. Sorry, I'm not reading well today. And would have accommodated had it not passed.
They would have accommodated, but realistically, I mean, this is exactly how I would envision it would happen, Dana. It was she commented again. She said 22 was an excuse to not pay the wages or benefits these drivers deserve. Regardless, they were already offering us benefits packages, but a lot of us didn't need it because we were already working day jobs. I say more than 50% didn't need it. And I know because I talked to all the drivers I would, meet with. And what would end up happening is there's this service by Amazon. It's called Amazon Flex, Dana. What you do is in your car, say Stefan has a Kia Soul, just like I do. You do same day deliveries, but you have to pick up a block schedule to work, or else you don't work. It's gone. People pick it up, and you go to your local distribution center, and you basically play Tetris with small packages, probably the size of a Bluetooth speaker, maybe this big, and they're like turmeric. I don't know, prescriptions.
Movies.
It's probably like what's it called? What's the legal name for mushrooms now? It starts with a P.
Psilocybin.
There you go. Yeah,
psilocybin.
Now delivering.
Psilocybin. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but you do that, and say, Dana, you finish your shift before your 5-hour block, and you only get to choose a 5-hour block. That's it. You can't work anymore.
Okay.
And you have to choose it and take it, or else someone else will, and you're shit out of work. That's what would end up happening with that rideshare schedule. Guaranteed, because that's the only way it'll work. Because you can't log on when you want to anymore. They're going to establish certain work hours and cap you at a certain amount of drivers in the area until their shift's over. And you got to wait if you want to drive. Who's going to want to wait? Right. People are waiting already for their next ride.
People got lives, man. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, where's my ride at?
Right.
Gotta go to work. Gotta go to the bar, whatever.
And then so that's interesting. I mean, I definitely was for whatever. Well, what I thought was that 22, which I'm still thinking it does, is it offers all the flexibilities. It offers all the things that to me make sense for the work. Because I even though I have I'm on Medi-Cal with the state because I've been a contractor and my goal is to eventually set up any one of the a business and then maybe seek out a group plan for a small business. But for now, totally. Medi-Cal was something that I took on because when my son got here, I was by myself and all that good stuff. And so you qualify for support. And even once I got back into teaching full time and there was health insurance there, once I came back out of that to go on my own, again, when you have, a dependent, you can get help. You can get the help that you need, go about it and figure it all out. So I too have health insurance and he has health insurance. So I agree with you. I would, even though we've all fought for Obamacare and we care, I feel like I was blessed to be in a situation. It's not a PPO, but as long as, but I'm a pretty healthy person. So I thank God I haven't had anything, cataclysmic in terms of my health that would require something more, You're
an independent contractor, like a stripper at a club.
Wait,
I
when are they doing topless Uber?
I think so. I don't know. I respect the strippers, but that's I'm an independent contractor, like a musician. So I agree with you that I think, like you said, there are more people who don't need these other pieces, and for you to then, like you said, lock us in order to give us these other that it becomes what we were escaping. It becomes what we were all, and that's the reason we escaped. We wanted the flexibility. We wanted all these things. So I'm grateful. I'm sorry.
No, the one thing about also with 22 is I could understand the other side of things too, because I met some drivers, believe it or not, that were driving 80 hours, 85 hours, 87, 89. I'm like, man, what are you doing? But talking to them, Stefan, I'm like, they're divorced. Their kids are not living with them. It's a somber stuff, and I can understand. But I'm like, hey, well, you make enough money to get your own little cheap, premium. I'm like, I can refer you to somebody I know who works there, but they didn't want to do it for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe they were in hopes that maybe the company was going to offer something, and they did start offering it. Because even now they're offer small plans and they're offering discounts on car maintenance now, because of course, as an independent contractor, you're using your device, your vehicle to take on this job, because that's what the terms say that you're going to agree to, which is fine. And that's the choice you make.
I was a driver who broke 2 axles. I mean, that's what it is.
Dan knows, man. Dan knows. He was
by the way,
Ecto 9 on the road.
Everybody out there, delivery charge that they put on your pizza delivery, none of that shit goes to the driver. Okay? Give your driver a tip. All right.
Definitely that.
None of that goes, and all it goes to is paying insurance so they can still hire people that drink because there's not enough people applying. So they hire people that drink and drive all the time. I've seen it. Messed up.
Postmates actually jumped. I have to say, Postmates to me was ahead of the curve. To me, it's hard to make good money from Postmates. I mean, at least I struggled to. I mean, everybody has their own money, but I struggled with making good money. But they were ahead of the curve. Like they were offering dental, they were offering some coverages before kind of all of this movement really went forth. So I mean, I think you just have to, a lot of this is just really a choice to be present and to just stay updated on what's gonna benefit you. Again, vote your interest. But the other thing that we have all these big conversations outside of here. You got to know what your interests are. And what I find overwhelmingly, I speak more for the African-American community because I know more African-American people, but I feel as though I'm talking to people a lot of times who don't know what their interests are, like who don't really realize the things that will benefit them in the short and the long, and the things that, whatever. And I don't know, again, we're on a great diverse panel, and, I do talk to everyone, but these heartier conversations are had, in the community. And that's what I feel like I hear a lot of, that people don't know the interest. They don't know, and what's going to be good for them, really. Not necessarily what I tell them, but that means that if you know what your interests are, then when you need something, then there will be enough there for you to realize, okay, that's not going to help me in the long run, but that will. And I'll vote for this as opposed to that.
It's like when they interview Mississippi Man, and they're like, Mississippi Man, like, would you like to have free dental? No, that's socialist. Yeah, but wouldn't you like to have teeth?
Precisely. It is that simple. Precisely. Like you are truly cutting your nose off to spite your face. Like truly. Ed, what were you about to say?
Stacy brings up a good point, because this is actually factual with the rideshare companies. If you get hurt on the job, or someone hurts you on the job, like hits you, or God forbid a girl, like they get harassed and try to get sexually harassed on the job, and it sucks. But it does release the rideshare company from liability. And talking about interest, your long-term interest is to not die, to prolong your life, and not to sustain any kind of trauma on the job. And I agree with Stacy on that. And that's something for sure I've been lobbying for with the rideshare companies, and simply because I've had some close calls with some riders, and luckily for me, I mean, I'm blessed to have whatever size advantage I have over some people, but that does not excuse someone from bringing out a weapon.
What's the worst?
Driving.
What's the worst? What's the worst?
The worst one? You guys really want to know?
Yes, I want to know.
Oh,
man.
Dana, you're gonna like this one.
Okay, so I'm like, I don't want to know, but okay.
No. And I had my hood, so I had to come out on this guy. I'm sorry, but I picked him up. I picked him up from SC because that was my that was my money site.
That was my bonus site. I love driving around.
Yeah, they're great, and I picked him up from
Southern California.
USC.
University of Southern California. It was I picked him up on Fraternity Row, Dana.
Mm-hmm.
And Dan, you know what frat row is?
Frat row. Oh, that's when Astro gets drunk and says his own name.
Oh my lord.
Frat row. Frat row.
Oh my.
Oh, I love it. So I pick him up from that
20,
place.
26 or 24. I think it's 26, 27th Street.
Yeah, no, it's 28th Street. 28th Street. Okay, and the minute he comes in, his name is Chad on the thing. Doesn't have a picture. Comes in, has the I don't even know what he was wearing, but he had those sandals and the thing here, and I'm like, oh great, okay. And I'm like, oh, for Chad? He's yeah, didn't even acknowledge me. I'm like, okay, cool. And destination, he goes, oh, can I add a stop? And I'm like, yeah, go ahead. And he adds a stop to go back to where he was. So I had to go back around. I'm like, all right, this is kind of
interesting.
All right, whatever.
Right.
So he goes back to add a girl he met in there in the car. And I'm like, hey, wait. This is a single share, man. What are you doing? He goes, oh, it's okay. She can come in. I'm like, no, she can't, dude. He goes, no, she could come in. I'm going to take her back to my dorm. And I'm like, well, it's not a share, dude. I'm like, if you wanted to share, you should have said so, like from the beginning when you summoned the app. And he looks at me like looking at me. I'm like, what? He's can you just let this one slide, man? Come on, I'm really trying to get some pussy here. And I'm like, if you would just said that at the beginning, that okay, cool. I go, but since you're being straight up with me, I'll bring that girl in here. It's cool. And he looked at me like, oh, okay, like I'm not gonna get my way with you. So the girl comes in, I'm like, hey, how's it going? I go, just know that you're not part of the ride share. So just take it easy. Don't jump out of my car or some shit like that. And this son of a bitch, Dana, does this to my car. He goes, oh, you like this? While the car's moving. And I'm like, I pull over. I'm like, what did you just do, man? And he goes, oh, I was just joking. And I'm like, no, what did you just do right now? And I'm like, I'm going to give you 5 seconds to explain why you did that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow, white privilege. He goes like that. And I'm like, you fucking with me right now, man? Are you serious? He goes, I have no other explanation. White privilege. And you see the girl just kind of shrink like, and I'm like, park, brake. I open the door. I calmly go over. He sees me. He goes like this. And I'm like, open the door. Get the fuck out of my car, white boy.
Right.
And he looks at me like, what? Like confused, like, oh, you're white? And I'm like, no, man, get the fuck out. I go, you're in my hood, man. Get out. And
you sure
I
you didn't
was
want to drive
mad,
him to
man.
a more
I was like,
sketchy place?
I'm like, I don't, man, it was, where I dropped them off in front of the Popeyes right there in Mid-City.
Okay.
I know exactly where I dropped them off. And then I'm like, all right. I'm like, you get lost, you go that way. I pointed them towards, heading towards South LA by the 110. I'm like, good luck.
Right.
Good luck.
If you really know your white privilege, if you get lost, all you do is look up on your phone where the nearest Barnes and Nobles is so you can hide out.
Right, well, what happened to the girl? What happened to the girl?
No, the girl said if she can stay because she didn't want to leave with him.
I was gonna say, like, that's what my mind went immediately at the point that he said that he think about wanting to get pussy. I'm like, okay, this is already gonna go south. Like, I already know.
Yeah. So
well, like, usually that's where you go for the pussy, is you go south.
Hey, you know what?
Story here, just trying to hear the rest of the story here.
Yeah, we're not going Duck Dynasty on this. We're not going.
The rest of the story. Just trying to hear the rest of the story.
Oh, man.
Go for it.
So I did what a decent LA born and raised native would do because I knew where this was going. I took her back to frat row. I went offline, didn't say anything. Went back to the bonus spot. I'm like, I swear, if this motherfucker summons me again, I'm gonna go pick him up and I'm gonna beat the shit out of him, man. And then nothing happened, right as normal. And that was that was top 2 worst, Stefan. That wasn't the worst.
Oh, okay.
The other guy was it was a magat that I picked up in West LA in Beverly Hills.
Wow.
And this was like, wow, man. Let's see what Nick said. Nick said, yeah, I should have dropped him off right there. Normandy and Western. Just exit there.
Yeah.
Yep. And this time, this Magat was from Miami in Beverly Hills. He was Cuban. And started talking, normal conversation. And you already know where this is going down.
It's just that we had a friend that was talking about, did you hear how Cubans reacted when they think there's socialism? He goes, no, just tell them we'll do it better.
No, yeah, they love Trump down there, dude. They love Trump.
Man, it's Dana. It was so disturbingly strange, but at the same time, I had to end the ride and kick his ass out too. And I didn't even need to get out of the car because I had to tell him in Spanish
Wow.
And he cussed at me saying, "Oh, you Mexicans speak horrible Spanish. How dare you disgrace the language?" And I'm like, first and foremost, let me just tell you something. That wasn't our first language, you son of a bitch. I go, my first language was Nahuatl. I don't speak it, but I know what my origins are.
Right.
And obviously, you have no idea what democracy is. Only capitalism. Get the fuck out.
Was he speaking with a lisp, by the way?
No.
Then his Spanish was fucking horrible. From the place where it came from, you speak with a lisp.
He wasn't from Miami. He says he was because he was embarrassed from where he really was. So that's the story. So he was talking about how us Mexicans here in LA and black people don't know why Donald Trump we have no idea how much Donald Trump has helped minorities. And
we have no idea. You're right.
I'm
no
like, okay,
idea.
So quantify what? And he was trying to say that the economy is good, black people are getting hired, Latinos are responding. I'm like, okay, keep going. And then he dropped me with the bomb. He said that it would be nice if blacks. But I'm not gonna say the N-word.
Right. Thank you.
And I'm not saying the N-word like how we used to, throw it around foolishly in LA. I'm talking about the hard GGER at the end.
Right.
And then he calmly said "spick" to me because I guess that's what they call each other in Miami.
Wow.
And it's true because I've seen Jorge Masvidal, who's a great UFC fighter, but I hear his vernacular. I'm like, no, I'm not really down with that.
Right.
That we are the most racist people in Southern California, if not the whole state.
How dare you racist generalize others?
And I'm like,
what just happened?
that was the straw that broke the camel's back, Dana. And I was just like,
and he's wearing the MAGA hat.
Like I don't, yeah. And I'm like, you had me at the MAGA hat. Now what the fuck, man?
So it's the funniest thing is like the maggots, as you would call them. They love to say in public, we're not racist. And then the minute everybody who doesn't look like me exits the room, hey man, you know what I think about other cultures? It's like, yeah, you're not racist in public.
The only thing Donald Trump has done for minorities is punch them in the pussy. Oh God.
You guys have one. So with did anybody see the exit polls? I
was gonna say it's already 10:50. So let's get an update going right here, right now.
Okay.
Election results. I know we're getting distracted, but guess what? There's gonna be a new president crowned. I don't know.
I checked before I came on here, and they still hadn't, unless they tossed in Nevada.
So Nevada's not. It's still. Biden's still in the lead in Nevada.
Okay. It hasn't really
still
changed.
At 264.
Right. He's
Donald Trump still at 214. Let's check Nevada real quick. They
were at 75% about 2 hours ago in terms of reporting. So
they are still at 75%.
Yeah. I prepared for your show, Ed. I was like, let me.
Yes.
I want to be ready. I want to make us proud, all of us. But I did look at and I wish I could find it because I'm not finding it fast enough right now. And I saw it earlier on my phone. There were just all these upticks in all the groups that voted for Donald Trump. And Maxine Waters, I'm assuming everybody here knows who.
Yes, of course we know.
Of course we call her TT Maxine, but but she was just like, I'm never forgiving black men. I was like. Wow. I could not be mad at her because certainly, we all have whatever we have because she's married to a black man, but I get what she's talking about, as a polling group, as a whatever. And so, but there was just, I think you can look at those exit polls, when you compare this year to last year, a couple of ways. One, clearly by the pool.
Yeah.
More people voted than ever fucking before. And I understand that percentages don't necessarily represent quantity, but to some extent, I feel as though these upticks, even in the percentages, have a little bit to do with the fact that, I remember when Obama, beat Baby Bush. I want to say, I don't know that if we were at 50 million each. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying. Somebody can probably say, oh no, Dana, you're wrong, which would be fine. But I know we were not at 70 million voters.
No, we weren't. No.
You know what I'm saying? Like what I'm saying, what I
No.
feel like I'm saying, and you know, obviously I'm Gen X on the late 60s in. These are very much unprecedented numbers for electoral turnout, period. And so I think that piece is interesting, but it was disappointing with, because I think even if someone could prove to me that Donald Trump, because I've heard this more than one time that he's done a lot for minorities, I still think though philosophically and in principle, what he clearly demonstrates that he stands for, him and Mike Pence, because they're not, you know, all of them are, you know, with sin in my eyes. You know, like you guys don't even think that there's systemic racism. You think that we're just giving the guys in blue a hard time. Like, what the fuck? Like, are you kidding? You know what I'm saying? And so I just feel like even if those things, if there was accuracy to them as flat facts, I still feel like we need context. Like you need to, because even if that's true, then what did he stand to gain? Like there had to have been a way that he benefited from these things if they're even true. But anyway, but the exit polls, let me see. So male,
we
female,
got Georgia right now at 49.6% for Trump.
49
was just right.
Biden.
Yeah, so
it's not over
and
there.
They're at 98% reporting right now.
Which state? Who's that? Who's that?
That's Georgia.
Georgia.
Yeah.
So Trump is still ahead there. Yes.
Pennsylvania is going to take a little while.
And it would be all of our, well, I don't want to ever be presumptuous for the panel. If Georgia went blue, that's like a wet dream for everybody. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't like that's a wet dream for everyone.
Early
on, is a scary wet dream.
Like, well, like I'm just saying politically, because again, as a Southern woman, you know, you want to like, because when I looked at the Alabama map, I was like, because I'm from Alabama originally, I'm like, what? Like no progress, like zero progress in Alabama. Like, obviously, I think regress. I think we went backwards in Alabama.
They were saying that Texas almost went blue. It was
almost. It was so close.
It's done that historically, where it starts off looking that way, and then it changes.
Well, they have a lot of Californians that are moving there, Dan.
Or they had
by the way, I've got a word for everybody from California moving to Texas. Get the fuck out of my state so that our housing prices drop. I don't need you, and no one fucking needs you. Get the fuck out of the state. If you want to move to Texas, go the fuck to Texas. We don't need you. Bye.
But I also think to the credit of Texas, there was a great migration to Houston after Hurricane Katrina. And everybody did not. A lot of people went back because half my childhood was Alabama, the other half was New Orleans. People in Louisiana love Louisiana. People in New Orleans love New Orleans. Some people have gone back, but there's a good number. I see a lot of my high school classmates. They're still there. So I think, you know, over time, I think there are a lot of contributing factors. I don't know if they'll let it get that close again, but I have a friend in Allen, which is near Dallas, and he started texting me earlier, like he says, "Is Texas about to go blue?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Like I'm not looking at nothing. I'm just saying, "Yeah," because obviously that's my wet dream for Texas to go blue. But you know,
my cousin's fucking around.
So
no one's really pushing for Kanye except fellow.
Let me ask you guys this, because
they're down on their down peak.
Everyone forgot Kanye West was running for president. Vice president, or he's running for.
They were all confusing, right? I saw him on the ballot.
What was that all about? What was his strategy there?
I don't think there was a strategy. I don't think there was a strategy. I think, bless his heart, I think that, you know, we know that he is medicated for a diagnosis. And I think like a lot of people who are medicated for that diagnosis, who struggle with taking the medicine because of all of its side effects. And especially when you talk about creatives, we're just looking at someone who I think, if you boil it down, may have I believe, I've never met in person. I've been close or in the room, but never met in person. I think there's a genuine heart under there, but I just think that it's just extraordinarily clouded with the mania, with a lot of ideas and therefore a lot of confusion. I can't speak for Lil Wayne, 50 Cent, or Ice Cube if y'all want to get into any of that. Because I just feel like here's the thing, as an African American woman, I feel like so the rappers are just trying to, my beloved hip hop stars are just trying to fucking derail this. Like, what the fuck is going on right now? Like, and I just counted. I was like, this is a distraction. I'm not even gonna I posted a few places, but this is, and in my comedy, everybody knows I have a, Wayne and Hadrian calling ancestor. So I did call Harriet Tubman, not just on Snoop for his actions earlier, but I did call Harriet Tubman on 50, on Ice Cube, and on Lil Wayne. I did not call her on Kanye because my heart just aches for someone who is just, who's dealing with the diagnosis, no matter how,
whatever the diagnosis, he also obviously has narcissistic personality disorder, and we've already had that for 4 years, so I wouldn't want that anymore.
Right.
We don't need that in office at all. I mean, unfortunately, most people that run for office, and I'm worried about this, like what type of person actually goes through the work to run for office? They're not an average. The average person, or the average person doesn't run for office. The average person goes, "Fuck that noise. I don't want it." But someone who says me usually runs for office. I should be in charge of things. I'm the one who knows what's right for everyone else. And that's the thing is,
who are these average people that you know, and then who are the leaders that you know? Because the people who genuinely lead, like people who actually do get elected, some, I don't know all, like generally the people who go after it are not in charge because they are, I haven't found them to be, those that I've met local and on, all levels, narcissistic as much as I believe that I can articulate a vision and help shepherd it through, because that's the job of good elected leaders. Now, if you are just to what you're saying, then if you're just talking about people who classify as politicians, but genuine leaders, the Obamas, the Kamala Harrises, the Abraham Lincolns, the whomevers, there is in some of them a genuine desire to shepherd a vision and to what's that word, for people to trust them, so I don't know about that. Because I mean, like I'm interested in being a leader, but I don't know that I want to run for office. Like, so my goal is just to be, a grassroots, the things that I've been doing for a lot of years already, like grassroots and working with people in the community and even in all of us in our own families. Some of us are, I'm sure, Ed, in your family, you are an extraordinarily articulate and clear voice about anything, right? I mean, there's the funny, and then there's the fact that you do this and, whatever. So I don't know, Dan, like I hear you. And so for,
I guess it's in my experience. Usually when I look at
Dan's
leaders,
like,
they're in it for themselves. And that's in more than just politics. That's in business too. Usually leaders are like, me. It's me. That's who you should follow. Me.
It would be nice to get somebody who reluctantly decides to do it, but doesn't really want it to the point of it's just about them. They realize why they're there.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The purpose.
I mean, I think so. You look at a Martin Luther King who was that way. I mean, everybody can say what you want about his life and his social choices outside of his marriage, but if we can then separate, because I mean, you guys are all musicians. I had to really come to a place of making peace with Miles Davis.
Well, there's of course exceptions to every rule.
Do you know what I'm saying? Well,
I wouldn't say there's nobody that's not what I usually like is the reluctant leaders, the people that they didn't want to lead. But eventually they realize they're the only one that knows how to do certain things, and they go, fine, I'll do it. They tend to be great leaders. They tend to be the people that go, wait, no one else can deal with this bullshit? Fine.
I'll do it. You're the only one that knew how to reset the router.
Right.
You can be our internet god.
Right.
The club.
You knew how to do it.
Yeah.
That's what's funny is speaking of movies, because me and Steph are real good with this stuff. I'm sure both of you have seen Idiocracy.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I love Idiocracy.
Oh man,
we've been listening to part of it for a while now.
Okay, I like it. Okay, I got two. Like, I gotta watch The Queen's Gambit. If another person texts me about watching The Queen's Gambit, I'm gonna scream. So all right, I'll watch it.
Yeah, Idiocracy is made by Mike Judge, the guy who made Beavis and Butthead.
Okay.
What is it? King of the Hill. What else?
Office Space.
The Clevelands. Yes. No.
You do?
No.
No, he did do he co-produced Cleveland.
He
co-produced.
I know he did Extract, which was
Extract was okay. It had what's her name in it.
Yeah, but
what's her name with the face and the stuff.
So it's supposed to be a film, not an instruction manual.
Yeah,
that's the way I see that film. Because
Okay.
Yes, because you know who the president of America is. It's
Terry Crews.
Terry
Right?
Crews.
Yeah.
So
He's
if you want to
President
feel,
Camacho.
if you feel like you want to watch that in real life, you watch Jesse Lee Peterson.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was on this show that I was watching for a while. Hugo and Jake, now Tana and Jake.
Yeah.
But he the minute he comes in to debate them, the first thing he goes, "You look like a beta. You a little beta bitch, aren't you? You beta bitch, beta bitch, beta bitch." And he's like, they're like, "Is this really how this debate's gonna go?" And he just kept it was like, "Are you kidding me?" And this guy is a huge conservative voice.
Terry
by the way.
Crews is amazing.
I'm gonna watch. I see all my other favorites though are in it. Maya Rudolph is in it. Dak Shepard is in it. So
There's a lot of good actors in that movie.
Yes, it has.
No. Pay me now. I'll meet you up later.
It's so good, and at the same time, it just the first thing. This film came out in 2007. Dana.
It says 6 on IMDb, but whatever.
It's 2006, and it's reminiscent of what MAGA is now.
Really?
And all of its followers.
Yeah,
I'm just like, whoa, that's scary.
Go away, baby.
Yeah.
That's the thing about that movie, Dana, that really, I guess, shocked a lot of people because it has like a really cult following because it speaks to like a lot of the stuff going on, like almost like somebody saw into the future, I guess.
Mike Judge is pretty perceptive for that. Even Beavis and Butthead, like there was social commentary in that was really subtle. Yeah. That was actually really good, and it kind of went forward. It's odd because right now we have a president that went out and would just tell lies, bold-faced. Like you could see, okay, it's like there's a little girl on a bike, and he'd go he'd go like, "Oh, she's got a great car." And we all go, "No, that's a bike." And he go, "No, it's a car." And his followers would go, "Yeah, it's a car. Can't you see?" And it's like that's how his cult following has been. Like he's just it's very much.
And it's the physiology and the technique he uses. It is a car. It's the best damn car you are ever gonna. No one likes cars better than I do.
Right.
It is the best car, and you need to buy it now.
The greatest.
It's like, wow.
Right.
And like, how does he do that?
Like Jedi Mind Tricks a bad name. He gives Jedi Mind Tricks a bad name.
I mean, and props to Barack Obama too, Dana. He was the master at that too. He was very eloquent, you
don't call a Sith a Jedi.
Right. That makes sense. I agree. But I think, but here's what I think. I think I am very much an aspirational kind of like vibrations person. I'm very much kind of like speak it into existence. I think I also understand that any of those powers have no respecter of person. Like Trump can manifest the same way and Obama can manifest. It's just about, and that's the thing about that. But I think when like I agree with you, so eloquent, but I think there is, I wouldn't even taking out of this idea, the element of false over lie. I think it's just the idea that Obama to me was always speaking toward what could be that which we desired, that which we hoped for, and not so much that which is just a lie. Because unfortunately, like you said, people will say, "Oh, it is a car," because he said it. But what you want is someone to take that power and really use it for good.
Yeah.
Because it is for good, for better or for worse. It is the very same power, but you're just hoping that the filter, the border through which it's passing is one for good and not.
I'm kind of hoping one day we'll evolve to a more honest species than that, where someone goes, "It's a girl on a bike," and everybody goes, "Yes, that's what the evidence shows." We're done with this conversation.
Science
evidence there. We're done.
Bike, damn it.
Well, it is, but I don't know if so. So for me, I guess it's not. I don't know that that's necessarily about evolution. I just think that that's about perspective.
I just use that word, like
right.
Socially evolved.
right. But even in that, so like, no, I hear you on that. But I think if wherever there is aspiration, you still have to look at a seed. Like if someone handed you some apple seeds, would you say that that's not an apple? Would you say that the person is lying
about it's a potential apple?
But and therein lies the thing. So then who is how does one script what someone else says is potential? I think that's what we're talking about. Like how, again, point of view. So I my prayer is that we just use our powers for good, that we can understand what good positive interests and outcomes we'd like to see, and then work with it from there.
Well, the problem there is that good is divided right now. Like what some people think is good, other people go, no, that's not good. And what those people think is good, there seems to be this huge divide of what's good. Like there are people that actually believe what's good is to work your whole days away, and then
but hear me out. I feel like you're missing one thing I said. Outcomes, the outcomes that we can agree on, not just. I hear what you're saying, but don't miss this part, that we're talking about like outcomes that we agree upon that are productive. And so if the racist in wherever that I can't think of right now, somewhere that we've read, Charlottesville, I think that no matter, we can all say whatever's all good, but I don't know that any of them believe that the girl who was killed, that's good. Now that they were trying to achieve an aim, maybe they feel like they made a point. But if we're looking at the murder of that young woman who was run over by the car, I don't think on either side of that, no one has an opinion that is good about that. Like that's at least what I'm. So that's why I'm talking about more from the ideology, but to an outcome that matches it. And so that's why I'm saying I hear what you're saying exactly, but I'm saying just don't miss the part where I said outcomes as well, not just a seed thought.
But there are some people that their outcome is what they think is the outcome. We would say is pretty gross.
I get what Dan means, Dana, because this is what's happening. This is what's happening with a lot of our society nowadays. And I'm going to quote the seminar I went to 10, 11 years ago. You guys are familiar with Tony Robbins, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Tony Robbins hungry, yes.
I remember that. So
not Tony Roman. Not Tony Roman. Not Tony Roman.
He made sense, and he's a no bullshit guy. I didn't know his seminars were full of cuss words and just really powerful stuff. Right?
Oh yeah, he's raw, bro.
I was like, holy shit! Like it was a shock factor. And he's like, what happens to people are two things. There's the wishful thinking technique that everyone gets confused with. Like you go into your garden and there's a bunch of weeds and you have they're like these people right now, they're taught to just close their eyes and go, there's no weeds. And then, oh shit, there's still weeds. No, you dumb shit. There's weeds in here. Pull them out. Fuck, let's get this shit going. That's the way it is. Now, here's the thing. Relevant to what's going on right now with all the racism going on, all the systemic stuff that's going on, all the mass confusion, is created what is called divided states. That's what I consider it now.
Okay.
And what you're supposed to do is identify the weeds, but in order to do that on a mass scale, you need a person, a leader that's going to say, yes, we have weeds. We need to pull them out. But what was Donald Trump doing? He goes, yeah, there's some weeds, but it's okay to have them in the garden. That's what he was saying.
Yeah,
that's what he's been saying. Like, well, it's okay. They're not going to hurt your garden, and you don't have to pull. But point is, you have to pull out the weeds. That's what they have to do.
And prior to him, we had the idea of solution aversion, which is really something that plagues the Republican Party. The Republican Party started the EPA. They started things because they saw how it was good for certain things. They said, national parks make money. These things, they were looking at it from a money perspective. And eventually the scientists went, hey man, some of our habits are going to destroy these things. We need to do something about it. And they said, no, they're not. They're not. Why? Because I don't want to make those sacrifices. No, it's not true. In fact, I don't think anything's happening bad to the environment at all. I think you're just a tree hugger, and you're looking for a safe space to hug some trees. And that's gosh. Like that's it's called solution aversion. It's where you don't like the only solutions available. So you say, then there's not a problem because I don't want to do it.
Exactly.
So
and here's the thing too. Yeah, there's always going to be weeds in the garden, no matter what. You're going to see them grow, and there better be.
That's what makes this country great is those weeds in the garden.
Nick? There were talks of I can't remember what political channel I saw it on, but they were talks of I don't think it was Trump, but somebody in the government wanted to work with the FBI to make to label the KKK and Nazi groups as terrorists.
Yeah.
Well, they should.
I agree.
They are.
Yeah, that's exactly what they are.
They did it with MS-13. They should definitely do it.
Yeah, they're all gangs.
Terrorist group.
It's all gangs.
Oh, wait. Should we say that on your show? I don't want to offend your white supremacist viewers.
You mean the pseudo viewers that think they're? Oh man, my Dana, my Facebook friends are such wannabe trolls. It's funny, and then I see them in person. I'm like, fuck you, man. Like,
by the way, there's something about that I see every once in a while. There's people that post, "Hey, how many of you could say you haven't dropped someone for disagreeing with you politically?" And it's like, no, I've dropped people. Fuck them. Like, I don't need to hear that shit. That's going to ruin my day. I'm sorry, but it's not just a disagreement with politics. It's like when you start being taught. I dropped somebody because he was boasting about a childhood friend of mine. He was boasting about he was in a store and he saw a guy with his family, and the guy didn't have his mask on all the way because no one was around him. But then he saw this guy walking up with no mask. And so he purposely went closer to him and made the guy flinch to put his mask on. And I'm like, you're a middle school bully. You're fucking dropped.
Come on, you don't do that. Yeah.
You know, and that's how I see a lot of the Trump supporters, especially the ones with the big truck and the big oversized flag to make up for their shitty personality. Is
their raisin penis?
Well,
I can take this space.
Some might be wrong, it's just they don't have the right name. But what's it called? Where was I going with this? I see these guys as guys that are perpetually stuck in the 8th grade. Like they're still the 8th grade bully puffing their chest out.
Yeah.
What's up, bro? Let's go, bro.
Are those the same guys that wear that shirt that has bro on it?
Bro.
The affliction shirt.
You know what? Bro can be good. There's certain people when they say bro, it sounds nicer than others. Usually a lot of my friends in Whittier, the way they say bro, I enjoy it.
Oh gosh.
but you know what I'm talking about, Ed. But
don't get me wrong though.
But like when the guy says bra, it's like I'm automatically like watching my wallet. What?
and these are the nuances of America that I know nothing about. Like I don't know.
So Dana, here's like for example, like all my white buddies like that I personally have known for a long time that aren't rocking a Trump Pence flag on their thing, but they're Trump supporters, and I can actually have a decent conversation. And I ask them, I'm like, so why do you support Trump? And they'll be like, well, check out this bill that he was proposing about. It was the one he was collaborating with Kim Kardashian, for example, for I think it was prison reform.
Right.
Like, okay. Yeah. And I'm like, that's valid. Thank you for presenting that to me instead of saying some bullshit ass like parroting thing that, of course, Donald Trump is a great mastermind at just doing that because he's a businessman and he knows how to market himself and his product. But they forget he's don't get me wrong, he's still intelligent and he's narcissistic, but he can collaborate with some people. And this whole thing with Ice Cube, I read about it. That got thrown at me too. But they drew the line. He goes, well, Candace Owens said this. And I'm like, well, no, I am not listening to that bitch. I'm sorry, because I had a really bad experience with her at Politicon. I'm like, no, thank you.
Yeah, we all like, trust me, we all, you know, y'all, I know y'all hear folks say, we know that all skin folk ain't kin folk. And
that's a good one.
Like, you know, again, I guess I'm giving y'all all the windows into the thing, to the black and African American. But yeah, we know that some skin folk ain't kin folk. And that's how we feel about Candace Owens. And for me as a black woman, you know, that's hard. You know, I have much respect. There's this great guy who's a great influencer on meditation, and I've been to like one of his workshops. His name is Light Watkins. Here's the thing I always say, I don't know what his mama named him from birth. I don't know that she probably named him Light, but that's what he goes by now, Light Watkins. And the one thing he said, and it taught me a lot, is just, you know, she's very focused. And if there's any lesson I can take from her presence on the planet, is that just as focused as she is about what she, you know, propagates, then I need to mirror that focus. And honestly, that's kind of what I preach to people. Like, you know, I got jokes and bad news on Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham all fucking day. Let's go. But that said, Mitch McConnell is focused, and he understands that to maintain the constructionist, like supremacist thinking, that it's going to be something that he has to help lay brick for that will be here when he's dead. And so he is committed. Whereas I don't know that in every minority, and again, minority in this country, community where there is leadership, that 100% of leadership or above 60% of leadership really understand that you, whatever you do, you want to lay brick that's going to build houses long after you and your generations are gone. Like, it's fucked up how they packed those lower courts with those Republican, conservative judges. But what I told people is, they understand the process. They know that is a pipe into the Supreme Court. They're not pulling a judge off of a LA County bench to be on the Supreme Court.
No, they're not.
These motherfuckers know that if they pack all these courts where they're piping them, then the pipeline will be full of what they needed to be full of long after they are gone. And prayerfully, as minorities in this country, I always say that if we can really, really just look at what we can learn, those are the things that we want to take advantage of. That level of commitment, that level of, because I told somebody, I said, we need to have, and again, you guys are Latina and, Hispanic, but I said about African Americans, I said, but what we need, you guys, is we need institutes that are going around to all Black law students who are saying, hey, anybody see being a judge in your future? You graduate from law school, we need to be piping you to benches and elected positions at with these ages now, so that in another 20 years, if you stay the course, you will be what we're looking at next. But it's got to be the reimagining of that possibility. And then we talk about this often. There's busting through the door, and then there's the heavy lifting to stay on the other side of what you created, and then going all the way and elevating. And that's where I think, if you read the Bible in Galatians, it says, be not weary in well doing. And I think people get weary, like it takes a lot to bust through the door. And then once we go on the other side, I can't do no more. The Barry Sobel line, I can't do no more, and then, but we've got to then figure out, okay, well then how do we effectively pass the baton, or how do we stay awake and strengthened, after that?
And I think a lot of has to do with exhaustion too, because for example, like I grew up around Black people. I know what it's like. So I think what it is for a while, at least for me, I'm a '90s kid, just like Stefan and Dan. Growing up in LA, what it was is we had fear of the process, not the outcome. But when the outcome came, we're like, oh, this is it. Shit. What's next? And all of my Black friends were like, well, I'm going to go to something else. I'm like, no. Like, you start finish what you started. Like, don't do me like that. Like, especially when it came to sports, because sports and academics, it was very relevant to that. And then when I got into film and audio, same thing happened. I had a lot of my Black friends too come with me. And I'm just like, hey man, stick with this. This can make us money. It could be a long-term thing. There's a unionization for this stuff. But believe it or not, a lot of them, they burnt out, and I don't know why. And I can only think one defining factor, and I'm going to admit to it because I'm one of those kids. It's being fatherless. And I'm fatherless myself. I don't know my biological father. And a lot of my Black friends were as well. That's the kind of the neighborhood we grew up in. So we go back home to mom. And, it takes us maybe a little bit more time to get out of the house. It took me like maybe till like my early 20s to get out. And I was forced out. She's like, get the hell out. And I was like, here we go again. And, a lot of my Black friends too, they were stuck in the same scenario. I'm like, so what are you doing for work? I'm like, hey, I'm slanging cell phones. I was that guy at the kiosk, Dana.
Right,
that guy in Inglewood.
I was a singular customer who got the good enough credit to finally get home. Like, I remember.
I was that guy, and that's how I learned the art of the hustle. I was at Lakewood Mall. I worked at Inglewood. I worked in Montebello. I worked in my most favorite place to work in, Dan, believe it or not, was the city of Downey.
Wow.
That was my favorite city to work in because it had everyone. The most diverse city where all the high rollers went to go live was in Downey.
Really?
I only went there to play at the Stardust.
Wow. Like
and because of that, and Kelly's Pub, of course,
Mhm.
Dana, it was the most diverse environment. You got everyone from Long Beach, you got everyone from Lakewood, you got everyone
Right.
from
That's true.
LA that would come down the freeway. I'm just like, wow, what is this city? Like, oh, this is where the oldest McDonald's is on was it Florence, I think. I'm like, what is this where it's at? I don't know if you're familiar with that stuff from the oldest McDonald's on Florence.
Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah,
my
dad goes there.
And kudos to that city to this day. And you know, when I played high school football, we played the Downey Vikings and Warren High School. And I couldn't help but to like vibe with just them in general, no matter what color they were. I was like, what is in the water over here? I'm like, you guys are so cool to hang out with.
Nice.
And I figured it out. It's the closer you get to the water, the nicer the people get. It's like, oh, okay. Because I had the same great experience in Long Beach.
In Long Beach. Amen. We love it.
Yeah. And I'm just like, wow. I'm like, I went to the Red Room. I went to Pine. I was like, oh, I like this place. I think I might rent a room out here or something.
It was pretty neat when we went down there. I only went at night, which was
I did
you
too.
know, like I never was in Downey during the day. That's the weirdest part. But that, like, you're in a metal band, you play the Stardust, you play that. There was another one over there too. You said Kelly's. There was another one
Pub.
too. There was another one that was like 2 stages.
Anarchy Library was in Long Beach.
Anarchy Library was another one. I seen so many underground hip hop bands and metal bands. That was the other thing too, Dana. It was like it was the melting pot of music too.
Wow.
The only thing I never really saw is filming on location there. I never really see anyone like that's what was missing.
Like, okay.
And so I'm like, okay, maybe I could bring that over here, but I missed the train on that because I went back to audio school, wanted to become a rock star.
Nice.
During that time, it was nice to go to a town where you couldn't see some place that said, "We're doing line dancing here." Good. Fucking the dumbest game of it's the dumbest game of what's it called? You put your right foot, the hokey pokey. That's all it is. The hokey pokey.
You got beef against the hokey pokey?
By the way, I had to look this up, by the way, and I don't know if this is bad of me, but I once saw a clip of Diamond and Silk.
Oh no, you did.
Jesus. God.
Yeah, the first thing that came to mind, and I don't know if this is bad, I'd like to know, was Ari Spears and Deborah Wilson in Reality Check on Mad TV.
Like
when they're fat suits and like they were like just like I was like, oh my gosh, this reminds me of a Mad TV sketch, and I had to go look it up. I'm like, yo, that's what it was called, Reality Check. Cool.
Right. And I didn't watch enough Mad TV. I definitely kind of stayed on the SNL side of things, and because there was SCTV and there was Mad TV. Going into the business side of me that's business, then Mad TV was the creation of Quincy Jones and a group. So you for us, you always want to see that happen. That's funny though, because Diamond and Silk, again, skin folk, not kin folk. Like we just and I say that outrageous. And I say that in love and respect, but like you just everybody, because obviously some people are not skin folk, but they are kin folk. You know what I'm saying? So we get that.
Like when someone would ask me, "Oh, are you racist?" and I go, "I think I don't like white people because I hate suits. I just hate suits. Like I hate suits. I hate capitalism. I hate corporatism. So I think I'm racist against my own type, and maybe I should be a YouTuber that just does that and bitches about it. You other white people don't know what's good for you. Like,
yeah, that's what my buddy told me when he got to know me. He's like, do you hate white? You know you're part white, right? You hate white people?
Well, it's not that I don't know.
White,
it's just like whenever I see two guys like eating lunch. And they're in suits with a tie. My first thought is, what are they trying to fuck each other out of right now? Like that's that's the uniform of this uniform that scares me the most. Like a guy could walk in with a Nazi uniform, but another guy comes in with a business suit, and I go, I'm more scared of the guy in the suit. Like what water source is he going to steal for Nestle this week?
Right. I feel that because there's a certain way I feel. Before it slips my mind, Ed, you said something, powerful, and it's so funny because I know we're talking like we're traversing a lot of territory, but that fatherlessness piece is very it's something that always needs a light shine, because what you said is you talk about your own fatherlessness. I think that the great challenge, and I've had this conversation with people, like not only is it for African American men of, you know, several generations of fatherlessness piece, but it is also the pathology of our time in this country and the dispossession and the disenfranchisement as people and as a people. And I think what's tough is that no one seems to get, and I say no one, not necessarily meaning you guys, like what those short and long-term effects are on psyche, on psychology, and on the concept of hope. And so, you know what I'm saying? Like, and people, like, you know, people are quick to say, well, slavery was over. And even if you still give them the continuum, black codes, you know, Jim Crow and segregation, but but what people still seem to not really rally around or understand is what are the psychological effects? Like, because how does, if someone feels hopeless, yes, we're still procreating because we love on one another. But if I'm hopeless, how as a parent do I pass along hope? I pass along a version of hope that that makes sense to me and that will defend and protect. And in that space, we don't realize it, but you know, as a community, and again, nothing is all people, because you always have people that can get through and that can create another situation. We're going to always have a Will Smith, and it doesn't even take a gap that wide. You have plenty that are not a Will Smith that managed to figure out how to get the, you know, to make it over, but too many did not. You know, too many,
you're absolutely right.
You know, and it's generation after generation of this limited aberration of hope and boxed inness and all these things. And so that's kind of how it happens, because depending on your wonderful relationship with your mother and you getting to go back home, then you can refortify. And maybe even if there's no biological in the house, there is still a level of community and hope within the community group that you can in these very invisible but seamless ways depend on. And too often that is not, you know, the case in pockets, large pockets of the African American community. You know,
I mean, it's funny you should mention that, because it's all based on and I'll go back to my Tony Robbins teachings, because he hit the nail on the head with this. He talks about the 6 human needs. I don't know if you guys have ever heard about that. It's reminiscent of the is it Maslow?
Maslow's hierarchy, but there's someone else who's got a better one. But Maslow is typically the philosophy that everybody's running with. It's been the most mass taught in psychology classes, you know, everywhere.
And there's two needs of the ego, especially growing up in LA where I grew up. And one of them is significance. And you know, because we live a life of certainty and uncertainty, a lot of uncertainty. It's variety based. Like, say me and Stefan and Dan are growing up in City Terrace, where I grew up, right there, right off the 10 freeway. And, you know, our variety is, like, you know, we saw this one cholo come down and he had a gun on him. Let's see what happens. We go over there. That's the variety we get. But the significance that we lack is, you know, we're not part of a group. We're not part of a tribe. So we lack value, self-worth. So what's the quickest way for us to feel significance? To join a gang. Right. And, you know, how significant do we're part of a tribe, you know, we give nicknames and, you know, the whole nine. And then what happens, Dana, is we're afraid to love. That's what ends up happening. We just connect by violence. We connect by having, you know, premarital sex, whatever, and, you know, not having any value with that. It's true, because I've seen it happen. It happened to me. And then I took for me to actually move out of that environment and into the grand and glorious land of Montebello, East LA. Right. To learn something different. And
come down to our vineyards in Montebello.
Stacy, you're so 100% on point. Yes, it has completely been gentrified. Unfortunately, it's not the same neighborhood that I grew up.
She did, but she did. It was, but I figured it was Terrace.
Terrace.
You know.
Terrace.
Stacey, are you drinking like me? There's some City Terrace. I love that movie with Samuel L. Jackson.
Actually, that is a good movie.
That's the first thing I thought of. Samuel and Kerry Washington, and who was she? Who was she?
What was the? Yes,
I didn't see
great
it.
film.
I forget. No, that's actually a good one.
I'm not.
His performance, you know, subject aside, is stellar in that film.
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
of course it
You
is because you
hate
made
him
you
in
not.
that
Yeah,
film.
you
It's
hate
like,
him,
wow.
and he's normally unhateable. Samuel
And he's a
Jackson, no matter what
cop.
he's doing, is funny. Like,
And he's a cop, Dana. He's a cop in that movie.
Really? Okay, now
Yeah,
that I didn't
Right,
know.
He's the cop neighbor from hell.
it's weird that you talk about
Yes.
you talk about hope, Dana, because there's all these studies that have shown that historically there are poor white families also that could benefit from things that would help other people. But when they find out it helps other people, they go, "Oh, then I don't want that." And it's
Right.
like,
It's like you said about the teeth, like
that could help you.
Right. But these are wells that got poisoned early, in slavery times, and then even, before Reconstruction. These are, that if and I'm sure around the time of the 13th Amendment that if they are free, then you won't have jobs. And there we were pitted against, what should be allies, today,
But we
Doug
always
Stanhope
had
has one of the best ones about the stealing.
Yeah.
He has one of the best about someone stealing your job. It's like there's people. They come over here from the border when he's not talking about black people, talking about Mexicans. They come over from the border and they take your job. And he goes, okay, so that guy with no shoes that doesn't know the language is taking your job. You know what? You deserve it. Okay, because how'd you get trained on your job? Like, it's just called competition. Deal with it.
And it's funny, Dana. We had a ton of we call them, token white boys in the neighborhood, and it's so funny how immersion works. Like how you learn language as you're immersed in it. And they had the African American vernacular, or they had the Chicano vernacular, and then they had like a combination of both. I'm just like, whoa, that's very interesting. I'm like, how does that happen? Because you don't know it, because you're just around it, and you start speaking like it,
right?
And then I learned a new vernacular when I moved to the nation of Montebello. And that was the bro and the bruh, and I was just like, "What is this?" Like, and then because I came from the Wasafo to the Orale and all that stuff, to Ka and all this all this stuff, growing up in LA, and then hey, what's up, bro? And I'm just like, what did you say?
Hey, I grew up in Walnut, California. That's why I'll tell you, Donka, homie.
Donka, man.
You take a German. And you take what we learned from In Living Color, because we were all watching it in Walnut. We loved it. So I said, Donka, homie. And it's like, we didn't see it as appropriation. We're like, I like the word homie better than dude. I'm taking homie. Thanks. Thank you for this word. I love this better. And so to this day, I'll say that to people, Donka homie. And they go, what the fuck did you say?
I heard that one time when I went to, I think it was, Monrovia. And we were playing football, a bunch of guys from Monrovia. And it's a blend of, Monrovia and Duarte were very, very diverse. And I'm just
Monrovia is a beautiful little city, though. It's such a beautiful little city. Yeah.
Oh my God, Stacy. Yes. Was good, fam. Yeah. Oh my God.
What kind of vodka are you drinking, Stacy? What kind of vodka?
Wow. Oh man.
Now, where is that? What vernacular is that? When you
was good, fam is very
Is that supposed to be African American, or tell me?
No, that's kind of like the stuff that you and I kind of grew up. I'm Gen X border.
Oh, right.
But I grew up watching Shaft. I grew up watching.
Okay, got it.
What's Richard Pryor. I grew up watching Eddie Murphy and stuff like that. That was the vernacular I got familiar with, and then of course all my Chicano friends growing up. But then when the 90s came around, there was a Living Color, there was Martin Lawrence, there was Def Comedy Jam, and I'm just like, what is this stuff? This is so interesting. And not your typical stand-up, I was listening to George Carlin, I was listening to Sam Kinison, I was listening to
Andrew Dice Clay.
Andrew Dice Clay.
You brought it back.
Yeah.
His best stuff was his nursery rhymes, and that was it. He did the nursery rhymes.
It's so that's like the old school style of stand-up comedy. But then as soon as the Wayans came around, that's what inspired a lot of it, Dana. Believe it or not, it was the Wayans family.
Okay.
And then look at them now; they're still influencing people to this day. And then Don't Be a Menace came out.
Right. These
That changed the whole.
yeah, these movies had such. By this time, I'm in college, and everybody else is you guys are at these more ages of influence. For for me, my interaction is just honestly seeing Black people make more films. But for everyone else, it is exerting a certain influence because by then, I'm speaking how I'm going to speak or talking like I'm going to talk. So there's no, there's nothing that's coming up for me, but this is it's always interesting for me to hear the impact and the impression it made and how, and the way that it's clearly woven into, culture.
Well, that's like, what's up, Steph?
No, for example, like the word dope, like I still use it to this day and I get blank stares.
Yeah. Do you?
Yeah.
From who though? From
the younger from the early 20s, late 20s generation.
Okay.
What I was gonna say really quick was before what did you say? Don't be a menace. Before that, man, it was Hollywood Shuffle.
Right.
And
my gosh.
And it was I'm gonna get you, sucker.
Right.
I'm gonna get you, sucker. You
I love that movie.
Mother.
Don't make me hop after you.
Oh my God, such a classic.
And that's
I'm sure
why
I have
sometimes
recorded on VHS somewhere.
Yeah, that's
and they
why
have a niece that's out now. They have I think her name is Shantae Wayans. She's part of Tiffany Haddish's crew, and I didn't know she was part of Tiffany's crew until I was watching
on the Netflix thing.
Right. I watched the Breakfast Club interview.
Tiffany Haddish presents They Ready.
They Ready, right. I watched some of it because, of course, again,
or The Bomb. Yes, same thing. That same thing, and then
that saying's all that in a bag of chips. Tell you.
Yeah, there you go. Like, and then why you tripping?
Right. But that's the thing is that, like, when I first heard about this idea of cultural appropriation, I understand when there's times where it looks really like obvious, like when Nancy Pelosi was wearing the thing.
I have a dissenting opinion about what happened there.
Right. What I was saying though is that I would sometimes get that when I'd say homie and people say, "Oh, that's appropriation." Go. But I like saying it. Why can't I say something I like say? Like I'm not gonna, pretend that I look good in cross colors, which is no longer around because I don't. I never did.
Cross colors.
But I love saying the word homie because there's something about it. Like growing up when I grew up and where I grew up that like I didn't see it as appropriation. I saw it as I'm embracing this other part of this culture and I like it. So I'm gonna take this.
Yeah.
I feel that
I take it, but I'm going to share it.
But I think so sharing implies that the people who own it, are sharing with you. And so, I hear the term, and I'm not saying right or wrong, agree or disagree, but the reason it's always looked at as appropriation is because no one agreed to share. That's first. Two, because when you look at the all the ologies, pathology, whatever of a people who feel like they've been raped and pillaged anyway, and the feeling of we can't have anything. We create something and we create it for us, but before we know it, everybody wants and takes a piece of the pie. So I honor the use of the word share, but share again implies that everybody said it was okay that someone is what is that word, voluntarily sharing with you, and that is then a presumption. If it's not there, I think these things are always hard to kind of sort out. So I try to kind of focus on how are we going to make the lives of people better. And I'm not sure if me getting mad with Dan Ochoa about the word homie is going to improve the lives of people on the street. But that
kind of sharing is me caring. That's the sharing of caring.
But that's what they thought when they brought Bibles to countries in Africa. They thought they were, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying that I'm not trying to have the flip response for everything you're saying, but I'm just saying that as the person who,
there was the one guy that was trying to bring Bibles to that island off the Philippines, and they shared with him their spears.
Well, and goodness knows, without sounding horrific, I wish that there had been a bit more pushback across the continent, and there was, but a sword can't beat a rifle, and so they brought Bibles and guns. If for those who in that situation, they brought Bibles and guns. They were.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? By the way, all you mall ninjas out there, a sword can't beat a rifle.
You mall ninjas.
So I hear you, Dan, and I don't think that there's any malice in your heart, but it's not from those who feel culturally appropriated. it's not about whether there's malice in your heart. It's this idea that there is just the presumption, the unquestioned presumption that it's okay for you to share something that you didn't even ask, did we want to share? You know what I'm saying? Like,
so I would think
check
that
this out.
it would be cultural appropriation if I tried to put an accent on it, and that's why I don't. Right? Like I say it my way. Oh, Donka, homie. Like I say it in my but I think there would be appropriation if you're trying to
well, where
do
did
a
you get
certain
the word
voice.
from? Without any accent, where did the word come from?
It was in living color, homie the clown.
So full stop, as the British would say. But then that's it. It doesn't. When you start to say I'm going to change it to this, you've already appropriated and you've decided how you're going to make it friendly when it is. And again, I'm speaking generally, not personally. It is not your decision to decide what is friendly for everyone else who owns it. Does that? I'm just trying to get you to see it both
I get
ways.
what you mean. I get
You know
what you mean.
It's like I was on a comedy show where, you know, I'm not saying that African Americans necessarily own the term allies, but we big up that term this year because we were trying to find a way to, to be family. But I was on a show, and I'm certainly in love with the person now, where a comedian, not a African American, said I use the term ally because it was in my bit, and he goes, well, I don't want to be called an ally. I'm more than an ally. And I'm like, motherfucker, you don't get a say in my movement on what you're going to be called. If this is if we shave it down to Black Lives Matter, I understand that there is no malice in your heart, but you don't, what you're skipping over is the level of privilege that says, I'm going to look you in the face and tell you how in your movement, how you define terms. And so anyway, so it's just,
well, there's a reason I don't use the word brother. I don't think that sounds right for coming from me. So like
no, I hear what Dana's saying. I hear what Dana's saying because like for example, growing up in LA too, all my black buddies would call me SA, or I gave them permission to call me Paisa. And Paisa means, border brother, even though I'm not, but and it's like, I'm not Paisa means a border brother means, from down south.
Okay. I thought you said warrior brother.
No,
that's the what's it called, warrior from wrestling.
What's funny is I had to be very careful teaching them this stuff because they caught on too quick. Dana, before you knew it, they were full on using it, and I'm like, I go use it like this in this context. They're like, oh, all right. I'm like, because they would try to order food. They would try to hit on girls, and I'm just like, yo, man, hold on.
I mean, it conjured some type of feeling because it wasn't, and that's all I'm just saying. And so you are not culturally, I know that everybody has been through what we've all been through as people of color throughout the world, but there's still some things that other cultures have that, that we just don't have. So there's this feeling like I have to hold on tight. In your case, you can do it kind of in this more friendly way. But and I say this in love, I'm not going to teach a white hairdresser to braid people's hair. Like, I'm not doing it. Like, I can love you all day. Yeah. But if you want to go do that, you're on your own. I'm not.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I'm saying? And so
I know exactly what you mean. I know.
So that's all I'm saying. I'm just saying that there's still and I hope that, at least that then you could just hear it. Like, there's just a level of presumption. Yeah. That's there that is unquestioned, and there's a point where back it up a little further, know what I'm saying, in general, and that's that is.
Well, I'm still going to use homie because I'm an anti-authoritarian and a rebel.
You don't give a fuck.
I'm an anti-authoritarian. I like there's words I won't use because they're of course their only context is hate. But if I don't see hate in it and I want to use it, I'm going to use it because I'm like, one of the things we got to get over is telling everybody else how they can speak if it's not meant in hate. Like, if it's not meant in hate, then just here you go.
But that's your presumption. That's your space. Like, you're assuming that the way you think about it is the way that everyone should think about it.
No, it's the way I'll think about it.
Right. But then you're still using. As many, not the only person, but then you're still using the word. So it's just kind of like, I hear you, but I want to do what I want to do. And that's what we're saying. And for us as a people who have struggled to do what we wanted to do, then we're not here for somebody just saying, I'm gonna take it anyway, because that's what we've been through. And not in the space of a word.
How dare you, Stacy? I didn't say bruh.
Right. Well,
I did not say bruh.
It is what it is, but I pray that you at least can expand to understand both sides. I understand. I'm very clear that you will do, and like so many, you'll do what you want to do. But at least if you can understand where everyone's coming from, that's what people want. Like the Bill Barr, I think so many African American men were in love with what Bill Barr had to say because we appreciate people of an acknowledgement. I personally don't think that everything he said was
Bill
perfect.
Barr
from Saturday Night Live. Am I?
Oh, Bill Burr.
Bill Burr. Sorry. So
yeah, he's an amazing comic. Let's get his name right.
But it's about a level of acknowledgement, and I think when someone keeps saying, "Well, I'm gonna do what I want to do because I like it," again, you're not even saying I'm willing to acknowledge why this might be a problem for you. You're still jumping to the part where you get to do what you want to do, and en masse, that is where the disconnect and the anger and the vitriol from African Americans comes when it comes to issues around cultural appropriation.
Stephen, you had a question?
Oh, no. I was just going to say, growing up and going to school, all the history books lied to us.
Right.
A lot of the different things really didn't teach us the things we needed in order for us to grow. Right. So growing up, a lot of the, movies and TV shows and different things from the different cultures, whether it be my grandpa showing me a samurai movie, oh my Lord.
Wow.
My grandpa showing me a samurai movie or stuff about internment camps, and then hanging out with my dad, and he goes to take me to see, I believe it was Eddie Murphy Raw, and I was a young kid, all these different things. And then, watching In Living Color. And then there was another one. I don't remember the name of the show. It didn't last very long, but John Leguizamo was a part of it, and it was on Fox 11 too. And it was like
House of Buggin'.
Is that what it was called? Okay, yeah.
I remember that name. I don't know if I ever watched it, but Ed, you guys, both of you brought it back. I remember that name. I don't know if I watched it.
Yeah, House of Buggin'. He used to be like the lead kind of comic skit in that.
Yeah, he was like the Keenan Ivory Wayans of that one.
Yes,
but
he was.
But that, and then all these different cultures, and then you get the really bad stuff at school. All this other stuff is just raining over,
Yeah,
it's changing the way you look at stuff, kind of like the Aerosmith and Run DMC music video. That being something where you saw the two different cultures come together, and then it really.
I'm more of an Anthrax and Public Enemy guy myself.
Oh yeah, that was
okay. Aerosmith and Run DMC was one thing, but when I saw Chuck D and Flavor Flav with Anthrax at a skate park, I was like, wow, what is this? I'm like, I was a big Public Enemy fan already, and I was like, whoa.
See, that was great.
That's where, growing up with all that stuff, it's hard to see, how do I guess my grandpa's era, he was thought to believe that, oh, hey man, I got to be more like white people. That's what's cool. You know what I mean? Like John Wayne or whatever. So then, I get where everybody's coming from. It's just so hard to not be like the things that have really reigned over us and influenced us so heavily, because it was so tasty for us to digest. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
It's really hard to not.
It is. I agree. But the thing is, I hear people like, I hear this word, I read it today, and you guys help me because I'm not a Spanish speaker, but abuela, grandmother. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Correct.
So but I wouldn't just, it's a word. It means grandmother, but you're not going to hear me just saying abuela because I'm not Latina. That's not my language. You know what I'm saying? Like there's all these pieces, and I don't, and for me, I frame it as a respect for that, because when I hear people, I don't know if people still use that term Spanglish anymore, because I just, because I've been in LA for 20 years, so I've seen these evolutions. But when I hear people, this mix of English and Spanish and all these things, again, I respect that as the space that you have culturally. So I'm not going to step in that space and cherry pick what I like, because I like it. I think it's a beautiful word, but I'm not cherry picking that because that's the boat that you came in on, and I honor your boat. You know what I'm saying?
The first time I heard Spanglish, I thought it was like a really tasty breakfast pastry.
Thank you, Boris.
Stacey said you can. It's not
Stacey
offensive.
approved.
I respect it. And here's the thing. Thank you for that. Like, but it's just grandma. But But again, it's everybody has a different view on respecting cultural space. But
Yeah.
you said something that made me think of something, and now I forgot. And I'm not drinking. I'm just drinking water. It was something that you guys said that was powerful, and I just wanted to. I'm sorry. It was what Stacy said about Lil Wayne. Not Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne. So there's just a point where in love, I say this in love, you'll always hear me preface things with that we understand that Lil Wayne is where he's at. You know,
Lil Wayne is drinking too much cough syrup to listen to.
Yeah, I was gonna say there was a point where he too, I think, is dealing. Like, I think he has managed his addictions and his situations maybe better. And I've interviewed him on red carpet. I know he went back to school at University of Houston to really, to do some good things. And so, but some people believe that they should vote their money and not. Mm-hmm. And not a moral compass. No, and I don't want to judge him negatively. Like, I'm not necessarily a fan. I respect it, and there's some good stuff in there. But I come from a Run DMC, and I think, like, in terms of rappers, when I stay with hip hop, then we're talking. I'm on that Slum Village. I'm on that J Dill. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are things I'm on. I'm on Busta Rhymes though. I haven't heard the new record, but I hear.
Yeah,
I've heard some of it.
See, that's what I like. That's why I don't like Post Malone or those guys that sound like they're on so many meds that they're just falling asleep in the mic. Because like a guy like me likes Busta Rhymes or NWA where they came and going, "You're gonna listen to me now," and it's like I am.
I can hear you. But so
no, the new stuff is good. New stuff is good.
Like, one of the things I said to my girlfriend the other night, like, I think my thing is, if that's who you voting for, do you? But like, do you like Jeff Bezos? We don't know who. Does anybody know how Jeff Bezos votes? Like, you've never heard Jeff Bezos come out and whatever. He has to shed his skin for about 3 months before he can vote. So we haven't figured out yet. But my point is, I feel like Lil Wayne has a right to do him. Of course, I disagree with his choice, but I think I'm more annoyed with him and 50, because I'm just like, if that's what y'all doing, do you're in that 400,000 or better bracket, and you feel like that's that you want to, because somebody else articulated for me, like, so your consumer base doesn't fucking matter to you, like the people the reason you have the 400,000, that's not what matters. That's the short-sightedness that they don't understand, that if the consumer base doesn't have the money to buy bullshit, then they fail. They fail, but they don't see. So as far as Lil Wayne, it's hard, because I would say that, that's just one that you just accept that that's a lost cause. I just, I just so wish, I hate it when people say what he said. Well, I've never had such and such problem with blah, 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 blah. Northern slaves who got freedom first didn't forget that there was still a common cause. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
they vote with their wallet. It's obvious. Mm-hmm. I mean,
just
look at that.
Yeah, which is the real problem. But the real problem is our drug addiction to money. Right. And it's been that way for a long time, is that currency makes people, it's the worst drug ever. Like, when they say what's wrong with drugs, I remember in 8th grade, I got thrown in the principal's office for this. Teacher said, what's wrong with drugs is that it will make you hang out with people you otherwise wouldn't, go places you otherwise would not go, and do things you otherwise would not do. And I said, you just described money. And she goes, go to the principal's office. I'm like, right, of course. I want to shout out Boris Benio. He says, here's the thing. I really like how this girl talks. And this is about the only time that I do not take issue with the word girl. Because I will, Boris, I absolutely adore you right now. I adore you, man. Thank you. But
it's spelled Gurrl though. That's how you spell it.
Spelled it regularly. No, I just, like in previous generations, obviously women of a certain age took issue with that. But I know, again, I believe that without knowing this young man, I know his heart. So I don't feel like
you're right, Dana, because all my black buddies did not like the BOY word either.
But you gotta think that when you unpack that one goes back to slavery. That one goes back to
I got to know that one real quick as a kid. I'm just like,
pretty tight. And again, everybody's passing down, You know, when people have wealth, they're passing that down. And if people don't know how to get out of poverty, they're passing that down. You know what I'm saying? Like everything, you know, passed down.
Yep.
Oh, he says, I love it.
He
says, I'm an immigrant. Sorry, English is not my first language. I love you, Boris. It doesn't matter. I don't, you know, I love you, Boris. You're all good.
I just did an update, a refresh on the election. We're still at 264.
We probably gonna be sitting there till Thursday, Friday.
Probably. So we're hitting the 1 hour and 45-minute mark. I think we still have a little bit of time, but I wanted to do something a little bit creative with the three of you. Just to kind of spotlight. Look at Stefan. Wow.
Look at Stefan.
I saw Dan there. Dan was looking kind of cute.
Because it brings out the creativity and everyone, and it's interesting. It's kind of like the dreaded interview question, like tell me a little something about yourself, which everyone gets stuck on.
Oh, okay.
But these are a little bit more elaborate, and it's one question, and we'll go around. Each one of you will answer this. And are you guys ready?
Sure. Truth or dare? I'll pick dare. Ooh, I'll do it.
Okay.
Don't torture Dan.
All right. I'm ready. I'm
you ready?
I have on a shirt that says love.
Oh,
like,
there you go.
Perfect. I like it. I like it.
Sure, it has a rainbow
too.
Mine has nothing. It's just black. Sorry.
Okay, you ready?
Okay.
All right. Who are the three greatest living musicians? I'll start with Dana.
Oh,
who
Lord.
are the three greatest living musicians?
Living, damn, that's
living. Okay,
come
so
on, think about this one.
There's only so much thinking. Stevie Wonder, without I'm just saying that's who I am. So Stevie Wonder, and thank God he is still living. Living. Jesus.
Living. This one's hard because of this reason.
This is now.
Yeah, especially nowadays.
Like this is so living. Stevie Wonder. I'm going to say this, even though I know that she has not put out music in a while, but she has, had some extraordinary achievements in her lifetime. Roberta Flack.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I'm when it comes to music, Ed, I'm a winner. I'm not a beginner. Let me just say that.
All right. I gotcha.
Let me see. And let me think, because when you say living, that's a different, because it's,
I dead.
Yeah, because we spoke earlier a little bit about Miles Davis, but of course, even over Miles, if we had dead, I would probably still go for either John Coltrane, possibly Clifford Brown. There's just places I would go, but I'm trying to think. Living musicians. So I got Stevie Wonder.
It could be singers too, whatever.
Okay,
anyway.
all right. Singers. Living though.
That's a hard one. I'm telling you.
It is so. Gosh, like my mind is like running through a gazillion million things because I'm looking on the more current end. I'm looking on this other end. I'm looking on they
just can't be dead, Dana.
Right. And that's a hard one because you're looking at someone who fucking loves Ella Fitzgerald. You're looking at someone who loves my thing is like that.
This is just commentary. This is only hard because we have downgraded the bar has gone lower for what makes a good musician, and a lot of people died before the bar went down. And that's why
I'm asking this question.
And so
extensive research.
You know what? I'm going to. This is a very hard one because I'm very much a womanist and a feminist. But I will say, I'm just gonna put it in the rotation. But I know as soon as we get off air, I'm like, I should have said.
Remember, everybody, a womanist is not equal to womanizer.
Right. Thank you. Because my mind is going through like whether I should say so and so from Earth, Wind and Fire. Like there's so much.
Ooh, yeah.
I'm trying to think because you didn't say groups, you said musicians. So I'm still trying to figure out okay. I wish there was another woman, but I will call on this one, Quincy Jones.
Ooh.
And it's tough because that's a tough one because he's more of a producer and an arranger who to me because if you are being musician purist, then he played trumpet and everybody knows he we know. So, but I'm just saying in terms of, I have to put it in my head. All I can come up with, again, because you're talking about living, is an architect. And so I would say that if I can kind of do it that way, that's who I would go with. Because I won't lie, you guys, I was bordering on John Legend just a little bit, because if you say musician purist, I think he's a powerful guy. Like I have respected him from day one. I love piano players, but I would just say I'll toss it. Quincy Jones is still alive. So, and he's 80 plus. So that would be mine. Stevie Wonder, Roberta Flack, and Quincy Jones. Cause it's hard. Nice. Like I love Patti LaBelle. Like it's George Benson shit like that. Like that's somebody that, like, if I was going pure instrumentalist, George Benson is a hard one to leave off because of the span of his fucking career. Like we're talking about jazz, Abbey Road, like pretty much the acid jazz, just so many fucking things. Like, man, this is a hard ass question, man. Anyway, so I have to give so for what it's worth, I don't get an honorable mention, but I gotta toss George Benson in there as an honorable mention because I adore George. Yes. And he's still alive.
Great picks. And I must say I had the pleasure of meeting Quincy on several occasions, because at my audio school, my mentor and instructor has been his engineer for about 20 years. His name is Francis Buckley. Shout out to Francis. I love you. And I got to meet Quincy and Rashida one time at an after party, and Quincy just has this glow. It's kind of like a aura. And I just felt like a kid just shaking something, going, man, like, you have any idea what you've done for music in general? It's like, wow.
So that's amazing. Man. I had the pleasure of being drunk at a very important Hollywood party, and I had to put, first of all, I just realized I fucked up because Herbie Hancock would be in front of Quincy Jones for me, but now it's too late because I've already locked it. But Herbie Hancock is, it was on my bucket list, and I think I cried when I saw him at the Hollywood Bowl finally, because I'd never seen him live. And he played this obscure song. But the Quincy Jones story, in brief, 1997 was the year. I was working for the great Tracy Edmonds, who at that time was married to babyface Kenny Edmonds, and they had opened Edmonds Entertainment right in Hollywood on Cahuenga. And so we were blessed because the great Robbie Reed, who was the person who casted all the Spike Lee early films, was on the floor below us. So we're talking about on a regular basis, they would be like, Tyrese is downstairs. Nia Long is down. The building was fucking amazing. It was electric. So we had a Christmas party that year, and all the people came out, from Shaq and Kobe to Terry, like all these people. Man. And so as I was an assistant in the office, and we had to rotate shifts, striking people off the list and putting their wristbands on. And when I don't think it was Rashida, I think Kadada came with them that night. So I think it was Greg Gaines. It was Quincy Jones and Kidada, and like you had at least the pleasure of like breaking bread. Like I was drunk, too many apple martinis, and starstruck trying to put wristbands on. And I remember like trying to put Quincy Jones's wristband on, and Greg Gaines saying to me, "Just put the wristband on." Because I was so excited and so starstruck, and I could not, and I wanted, you want a fangirl, but you're supposed to be there, not fangirl, because wasn't a social media age, so it wasn't okay. I had to kind of try to be straight laced, but I was anything but. Oh wow! I got to shout out Herbie Hancock, even though I fucked up my list. I still got to shout out Herbie Hancock. All right, I'm done.
Stefan was cheating. I saw you, man.
Was he Googling?
Yes, he was. No. He was like, "Oh my god, 3 living musicians. What do we do?"
Dan can go before me. I can go last.
No, you're going. You're going now.
Oh, no, you're going next.
I'm going.
Okay.
Man.
Okay. You're going now.
I have 3. That's hard, man. I got
3.
I got a huge list.
3 greatest living musicians.
Look what I changed my name to, just to give shout out, just to show love.
There you go. He was on my list too, but since you named him, I will pick other people. I have Trey Azagoth from one of my favorite death metal bands called Morbid Angel.
Morbid Angel. Yes.
I don't know. Can I say RZA from the Wu-Tang?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, he's your favorite member, really?
Well, no. I love them all.
With people on this.
I love them all. Old Dirty Bastard's my favorite.
I love
them. Right.
Yeah, see, he's dead. He's not on the list.
I know. That's why I picked the living one.
Yeah.
And then if I have to pick another one after that, I'm gonna pick. Damn, that's a hard one. I'm gonna pick Les Claypool from Primus.
Oh, from
Oh,
Primus.
that's a really good pick, actually.
Yeah,
Yes.
and he's the one that wrote the South Park theme song.
Yep.
That's
But
that's
it's
been
also,
on
if
air
you've seen his
for
duo de twang lately, like
yes,
where he put a lot of the Primus songs into bluegrass. That's like,
yeah.
how'd you do that mix, man?
Oh
And
yeah.
Dana, he plays amazing bass for any style, and predominantly all the hip hop artists and all the jazz guys seek him out to go jam out. And now
What's
you
his
know
family's name
why.
again?
Les
His name is
Claypool.
Les Claypool. He's a
Okay.
San Francisco guy. He's a Bay Area guy.
His well-known band is Primus.
Right, I've heard of
Jerry
Primus.
was a race car driver.
I've heard of Primus for sure. Okay,
and then he
but
has
so
a couple other bands too.
I had to fuck with him. Just check him out.
Oh
but
yeah,
like
his bass is Dana, man. It's insane.
Yeah, he plays. He's probably one of the funkiest bass players I've ever seen live.
Him
in
and
person.
Victor Wooten, dude. Him and Victor Wooten.
Victor
No,
Wooten,
you
yeah.
mean yes, Victor.
Yeah.
So now you're gonna take someone from my list.
Sorry, I knew you were gonna do it. I knew you were gonna do it. I'm sorry. I'll be quiet now. Okay, Dan.
Yeah, no, I had the bass player
Dan.
Victor Wooten on my list is one of my favorite musicians of all time.
Okay.
When I pick musicians, it's more based on the versatility that they've shown. So I have a lot of great musicians I love in death metal, but they're doing the death metal, and I love that. But like, I look at versatility a little bit more if I'm going to say greatest, living musicians. Unfortunately, we don't have Peter Steele anymore, or he'd be on the top of my list.
Ah, yes.
Peter Steele. Now, other than Victor Wooten, guess who else is still alive? Danny Elfman.
Oh, I was gonna say John Williams too.
Yeah, Danny Elfman, one of the best not only soundtracks but 80s artists.
Yeah,
I think he did some punk stuff.
He did.
And then my third pick, it was really hard to get a third pick, but there's someone that has shown a lot of versatility and has a great, amazing show, and one of the best piano players out there. His name is Tim Minchin from Australia.
Tim Minchin. Interesting.
So there is a special that was on Netflix, but
okay.
There's a reason why he doesn't. He has this joke. He has this bit about evolution, and he goes, "This is where I practice where I'm going to duck when I do my American tour." I'm talking about evolution, he is a very he would not get away with some of his material here in Australia. He's fine. He does some really great strong songs. He does one that seems like it's going to be edgy and isn't, called Prejudiced. So you think he's going really, really edgy in the beginning, and then when he comes to the climax of it, he changes the tune, and the punchline is like, "Oh, geez, I didn't think you were going that way." And he's done a lot. He has this great song called "If I Didn't Have You, I'd Probably Be With Someone Else." Where it talks about probability, really? Like the probability of reality. Like, yeah, if I didn't meet you, I'd probably be with someone else. I mean, there's millions of people. Like, yeah. And it's just he's a hilarious person. He's actually a comedian musician. So if you check him out, funny guy, Tim Minchin. But yeah, like Dead was easier in certain ways. Like Peter Steele, I don't think anyone's ever going to capture that sound ever again.
Yeah.
Like
you're right.
I would love to write songs like that, but there's something about what he did with songwriting with Typo Negative that was so different than anyone else. And that's weird. Not a lot of people say it. So Nick is saying Danny Elfman, but he also said Maynard, James Keenan, and Ozzy. And the only reason why I'm not picking them is I haven't seen them pick up an instrument and play it.
Yeah.
And that kind of is a criteria for me for being the greatest living musician, is you have to actually also play instruments. You can't just be the singer. You have to do. So like, I was almost on this list. I was almost about to put Alicia Keys because I've seen her play things, and I'm like,
my gosh,
she's damn good.
Stunningly.
She's damn good.
Immaculate live.
Right.
So is John Legend, because I've seen John Legend too, and it's like, whoa, man, people are that good. Oh
right. I thought of Alicia Keys because I wanted to, again, I have to shout out a woman, but it was just kind of like, I think I just come from a mindset that I want to acknowledge kind of those who have paved the way. Like it's a thing. Like, because you said greatest living. So it doesn't mean my sister thinks that John Baptiste, who is Steve Colbert's nighttime guy,
he's great.
Yeah, yes,
he's one of my runner-ups.
She thinks this. I'm not saying she's right or wrong, but she thinks he's better than Herbie Hancock. But I think that's blasphemy. It's not because it's not even because I play enough piano to judge. But I'm just like, you're not gonna put some young lion over fucking Herbie Hancock. Now I could actually be right and she could be wrong. But I'm just saying, like, it just sounds like blasphemy. La 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 la. No. You know what I'm saying?
Herbie's amazing, dude.
Like Herbie is Jesus. Like I'm feeling teary eyed just because I just think the world of. And here's the thing: crazy as it sounds, when Rocket came out, I was in high school. I was 15 years old, and I was in the 9th or 10th grade. I had never heard of him. At the age of 15, I was not familiar with him other than Rocket. And then shortly after, I found out all this other shit, Watermelon Man, like all this other stuff. But I have basically been in love with and have had a crush on him since I was 15 years old. And he was in Virgin Records one time on Sunset, like back when, and
good old days.
Right. And I was in there working for the record label, buying gifts, and they were playing him. He did an album called Gershwin's World in 97 or 98, where reimagined the Gershwin tunes. And I heard a song playing, and I said to the cashier, I was like, I hear Stevie Wonder, because Stevie Wonder. I was like, what's going on? He says, it's a new album by Herbie Hancock. And then he goes, he's upstairs. I was like, what the fuck? So I went upstairs. And there he was, sitting in Virgin Records on a piano. And of course, I stole the money that I had for other gifts and bought me and my sister. Right. Straight hustler. I packed it into the other money that I was given, and I bought the CD for that they were selling, and I had him sign it, the whole nine. But anyway,
wow.
I am a very.
How long has it been since people actually said I bought the CD?
There's another great. Whoa, there's an echo. Hey, there's another great piano player, George Duke. I love George.
But you said living or dead, and oh my goodness, we love George Duke.
Wait, is he dead?
Oh my goodness, is he dead? It hurt our hearts.
Oh my god! See, I didn't know that because I said, it was the beginning of quarantine where I found the Wooten brothers, Marcus Miller, and so I saw this George Duke trio playing "It's On" with Marcus Miller.
So that was Warner, that was like the heyday of Warner Brothers. That's like
no, not with Marcus Miller. It's not. It's just his trio. But I was like, dude, this is badass stuff. Like, what is this song?
George Duke is not to be fucked with, man.
Yeah, I was like, dude, this. You know what? I really love watching the guy because he does this thing where he's like,
that's. Right.
He's smiling but going ooh at the same time. Look what I do.
We're feeling it.
So the guitar version of that in death metal is this.
Right.
He has to go to the bathroom. Number 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, you just actually elevated my respect for you, brother. Just by saying the name George Duke, it all melts away. It all melts away. Like George Duke is certainly beloved, and we were very. It was a very, all of these things hurt when, Kashif, who's probably guys don't know him, but another great one, but not necessarily on that level, but a great R&B producer. But when those folks, pass away, because George Duke probably was not, he was probably in his 60s. He wasn't, it's been since I lived in California. So it would definitely be in the last 10 years that he passed. I mean, I could probably look it up really fast, but yeah, he's gone. And it felt like a loss. I got the pleasure of going to, it was called Universal Amphitheater at one point. I have no idea, Gibson, whatever it's called now.
Yeah, it's gone.
It's gone. And he died in 2013. And I remember there were concert tickets, and it was and these are a bunch of R&B folks. So it was George Duke, Rachel Farrell, whomever else, all these great R&B greats. Right. And at the time, the Warehouse still existed at the corner of Sunset and La Brea. And I remember that KGLH was if you say this code and go in there and buy a ticket, your ticket will be greatly reduced. So I bought the ticket. I went to the concert by myself. The amphitheater was basically empty. The show was fucking amazing. And as I walk out, as the show is over, passing the back, I see one of my favorite actors pulled down under his cap. And people know I'm kind of, I am a big fangirl at the end of the day. And I was like, that's Delroy Lindo. I already know. Like I could just see from here. And I literally like he had on a fitted kind of like you, Ed, and I just was like, I love your work. Like I literally like I didn't care. I was just kind of like, I'm not gonna miss a chance to say something.
Like, oh hi.
Like because I'm sure he can and they're all trying to he's like, I mean, he was down in the chair like this, and I was literally like, I love your work. I think you're
and it's weird that because you put on the stipulation also that they had to be living, and I was thinking guitar players, and I think the three greatest guitar players of all time, even though one is kind of controversial because what his band would do, would have to be Jimi Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and Dimebag Darrell.
Yeah.
And Dimebag Darrell was in Pantera, and they're controversial because they really took on the Southern thing a little bit more than they should have.
Yeah, but Confederate flag on the body of his guitar.
But it was mostly Phil Anselmo that would actually be the vocal mouth of that stuff. But like Dimebag Darrell could do noises on the guitar that no one else has even done to this day.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it was the same with Stevie Ray Vaughan when he was around. Stevie Ray Vaughan was like, I mean, everybody's seen that footage of him changing a string while playing the solo. It's like, amazing. How did you do this? And then he just transposed it on the spot. And then the same with Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix just knew the guitar neck so well that he was making
Jimmy did it to me, man.
Try to play Crosstown Traffic and make it sound like Jimmy. You can't do that. It sounds like someone whistling on their guitar. How did you do that?
Yeah.
Like I did that for a long time when I was playing. I was like, oh, I'm never getting this the way he did it. I'm gonna have to figure out what I do.
That comes from like your atoms in your body, man.
Yeah,
that's where it came from. So
and that's actually as Stefan mentioned, Les Claypool. There's a certain tone to his fingers that is just Les Claypool.
Speaking of coming from atoms in your body, Dan, I'll start with you on this one. This is we'll take it home with this one because this one's a little bit easier.
Okay,
but don't make it hard.
You only get three choices again. Okay.
Okay.
You ready? All right, I'm gonna put it in the chat and I'm gonna put it on the display. Here we go.
We did this recently.
Dana is gonna participate in this one where we all gotta do one here. What are your three favorite movies of all time?
Waiting to hear Dan. I'm curious.
So my number one favorite movie of all time is called God Bless America by Bobcat Goldthwait.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I love that movie. If you are a fan of, there's two movies I really like, and if you mix them together, they become God Bless America. If you mix together Falling Down with Michael Douglas,
oh my gosh,
classic.
and you mix that with Kick-Ass, which I liked.
Yeah,
the first one. The second one,
second's okay. It's okay.
The best part of the second one is Motherfucker. He was the best actor in the whole movie. Like he was actually evil. I couldn't believe that nerd from American Pie. That evil.
The guy that was in Superbad. It's the guy from Superbad who played.
That's the dude.
No, but I like those two movies. But and actually, my cousin Nick is the one who got me. Hey, you should check out Kick-Ass. I'm like, I don't want to watch some, teen movie. And he goes, it's not that. And we watched it. I was like, wow, I'm blown away by this. This was better than I thought. And so you mix those together, you get God Bless America. After that, it's hard for me to pick. So.
Really?
I don't know if I'm going to really pick. I'm going to tell you that the best action movie. I think an action movie that I made my girls watch this last weekend because they had to, and I think it's a great movie because it set the tone for a lot of action movies today. It was called Terminator 2.
Oh my goodness!
Not Terminator 1, but Terminator 2 was the first, when I was a kid watching that was the first, nonstop shit's happening, blowing up everywhere movie, and it set the tone for, Avengers today and the way that action is filmed today.
Yep.
And so
it's Liquid Metal T1000.
I mean, plot holes and all that aside, the directing was great in that. And then if I'm going to pick a third movie,
I thought you already. That wasn't three.
No, if I'm gonna pick a third movie as my favorite, it's probably Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Wow,
a dragon.
Okay.
It's a lot of where my humor comes from is Monty Python and the Holy Grail. So
That's a great film, man. I've watched. I think I still have that one in VHS somewhere at my mom's house. So,
Nice.
all
They
right.
make
What about
DVDs,
you?
you know.
I know they do. What about you? What about you, George A. Romero?
George A. Romero. See, that's a hard one, man, because I love so many damn movies. I guess I could just, I don't know, man. It's a hard one. My
Really?
top favorite though that I've probably watched, I wouldn't say more than, I don't know, man. That's a hard. That's that's like, do you want to
only get
breathe?
three,
Do you like
man.
air?
You
I
only
love
get
air.
three.
Air is amazing. That's hard. Man. It's like, I feel like you got a gun to my head. Ah!
You only get three.
I guess I would pick the 1978 original George A. Romero, Dawn of the Dead. That's like one of my favorite movies of all time. And then to mix it up, so I don't just pick the same thing over and over, because I love all kinds of movies. Just horror and comedy are my favorite.
Yeah.
But I love everything. That's my collection is pretty much of everything, but horror and comedy are my favorite. I see. What was one that was really influential on me growing up? Damn, dude, that's
Tu
hard.
Wong Fu.
No,
Oh my
that's a good
God.
movie, but no, I don't want to say that one.
Love that movie.
I'm
Because
gonna
I'm a
say
big Wesley Snipes fan. That's why.
I'm gonna say Brewster's
Yeah.
Millions. Brewster's Millions.
Oh wow, Bruce's
with
Millions. Yeah.
Richard Pryor. 'cause
Richard
that's
Pryor,
one of
and
the-
man.
one of
Lonette
the-
McKee and Lonette McKee.
Oh, I love that. I
Yes.
love that movie.
Mhm.
And then for my last one, to bring it back to horror movies, because I I don't want to I don't want to
Yeah.
disappoint my horror peeps.
Exactly.
Let me see. And he died not long ago. Wes Craven, who's one of my
Oh,
favorite.
yeah.
He did horror and drama.
I don't
Yeah.
think I knew that about Wes Craven. Much respect. Much respect.
Yeah, he did. He
Yeah.
did. What was it? Music of the Heart with. I hate myself. I can't
Oh
remember all
my
the names
gosh,
of all the
Music of
different
the
actors.
Heart.
It had what's her name? I
What
can't
was
remember her name.
name?
That's bad on my part. To start, Meryl Streep. It had Meryl Streep.
Meryl Streep.
Gloria
Yeah.
Estefan, Meryl Streep.
I was
And I
gonna
can't-
say Linda Lovelace, but I guess I was wrong.
But the movie I was gonna name of his, that was just an example of something besides, so anybody who just knew him as horror stuff, was the original Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
I really
Johnny
yeah.
Depp, right?
Oh yeah. That movie, as far as scary movies, scared me for years. And because other stuff I could tell, okay, it's scary, but it's fake. And it's not that I couldn't tell that was fake. It was the fact that they used the premise of the dream stuff. That I was like, okay, I can't get away from this, man.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be bad if he came in one of your dreams where you're naked at school? Or is that just me?
Maybe he might run away. I might have an advantage. But honorable mention, and then that'll be it. Is I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker. I gotta throw that in there. I gotta throw that in there. That's all.
I love that film. All right, Dana, paying homage to Herbie Hancock. You only get three.
Got you. So number one, The Wiz.
Oh man, The Wiz.
The Wiz.
Man.
Ooh, what's a whiz?
The Wiz.
I have to bring it all the way to the present and honestly say Black Panther.
Man, you beat me to that one. That's my number one.
Yeah, like Black Panther, because it is just, I mean, when you say no fucking stone unturned in terms of story, in terms of effects, in terms of direction, like oh my gosh, it plays every note in all of us. Now I have one in the middle. I'm going to be honest with you. I probably have to try to take a little honorable mention out on it all because it just Stefan said it. But I will say in the middle, I have to give it up to the very first Star Wars. And when I say Star Wars, I mean meaning the first one that came to the theaters. We understand that that's episode 4, but what I'm saying, but that first one.
Yes,
it's still its original packaging.
Right.
Video.
This is gonna sound strange, and I'll probably go to bed thinking I could have picked a better honorable mention. But there is a film that I adore, and it's kind of like all the Brit films, and it's called Love Actually. And it like it's just there's just these ways, and there's a couple of places where, like, for me as a director, I can look at it, I can see a couple of places where the cuts, there's like maybe a jump cut or whatever. And it was Richard Curtis's debut, where he had been the writer on Four Weddings and a Funeral, the writer on Quincy Jones. So that was his directorial debut. But I am a huge fan ensemble stories. Like I'm a huge fan of like how many different types of stories can we tell in this one place, and the way that it is. Because another great one, it's not putting it on a list or anything, is like Sliding Doors. Are y'all familiar with the Gwyneth Paltrow film? Have you ever seen it? So I love that fucking film because we all asked that question. If I hadn't missed the train, what would be the difference in, in the outcome? She caught him cheating as opposed to the life where she didn't, all these things. But I would say that my high honorable mention is still Love Actually. And that's a tight, because I love Bridget Jones, the very first one. I love it a lot. But I think Love Actually just felt more, I don't know. There was just something about it that's very special. Just very
nice.
So
I'll give you mine, and there are stories behind each one, obviously.
Oh, and before you say that, so I do have to say this just because you said that. The main reason that the Wiz, and not in a bad way, I just want to share this because everybody here has been so amazing in the chat. My mom transitioned from this life when I was 11 in the year of 1979. So the biggest memory I have of her is she took us to see The Wiz. I have a twin sister, so she took us to see The Wiz.
Wow.
And so besides, that's probably like, I mean, and we didn't get to go to movies often. Money was, whatever it was. She was a teacher, but my dad was having his moments. So the movie is still stellar to me, but that my mom took us is what I will always have, Yeah,
of course. Absolutely. Right. Yeah, that once a week, every Friday or every payday, you would go to the movie theater, and you'd have to go to the cheap like matinee or something just to get in. But my number one movie, there's a story behind this one. You're gonna, okay, Mo Lister, are you ready? And Dances with Wolves, you guys ready? It's Return of the Jedi.
Oh yeah, great
film. Let me tell you why.
And I almost said it, but I still love the first one better. Go, Ed. Thank you. You speaking for it. I love that particular one for one simple reason. When I flunked first grade, because my English was not great, I had to repeat it in summer school, and I eventually passed. But my mother, in her Mexican rage, said, "You are going to learn Spanish, and you're going to learn with this movie." And she brought it on VHS. And she pops it in. She goes, "You're going to learn how to speak English like that guy." And I'm like, "Harrison Ford?" She goes, "No, the guy that speaks really beautiful, Mark Hamill." I had to learn all of his dialogue. And I was like, I got to talk like this guy. I like how that guy talks. And I was pointing at Han Solo. Right.
And so I kind of modeled my American vernacular.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry.
With the Moses.
Come back. Okay, I froze it for a second. Sorry.
Okay.
I froze it for a second. Am I back? Okay. Hold on.
There you are.
The FBI is here. The FBI is here. So,
okay. Because we're playing with our names.
No, I think what it is because it's 2 hours and 16 seconds that I've been on. But let me see if I stop the camera and then come back. See if this works.
Oh, your camera tells you when they've had enough of your face?
I guess so.
That is messed up, man.
Let me see.
I think you should not have gone out because you were doing fine before you went out. Now, okay.
Let's see. How about now?
Okay.
There you go. All I had to do is mess with the settings. So anyway, yeah. So I had to model my vernacular over Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford. So that's my number one. Woo! Number two is a very recent movie that just won me over. And I was like, wow, like I watched it like 3 times, and it's a Spike Lee movie. It's called Black Klansman.
Oh, great.
Yes. Love it.
I had no idea what I was watching. I was like, what is this masterpiece? I'm like, wow. I'm like, this is crazy shit. And I'm like, it got deeper and deeper and deeper. I was just like,
true story too.
Yeah, it's like it sucks you in. And I was like, holy shit, this is great. But
Oscar for best adapted screenplay. Oscar, they won the Oscar for best adapted.
And number one, everyone laughs at me because of this, and I'm just like, man, come on, don't take away my teenage comedy like when I grew up in. It's Friday, the original Friday movie.
Woo,
classic.
I love it. I can watch it anytime. I love it. I was a big Chris Tucker fan because of Def Comedy Jam. I wasn't supposed to be watching it, of course. My mom didn't let me because they cuss a lot in that show. You're not supposed to. That's not for kids. I'm like, okay, black box, the descrambled cable box we used to have. Yeah. And that's how I discovered Martin Lawrence. And my honorable mention, a film of all time is Bad Boys.
The first one.
Yes,
the new one is good though.
The
new one is good.
Yeah, I know. I like that one. But
good.
the original Bad Boys, I'm just like, oh man, I can't wait to see this. And then watching it now with the new remastered versions, I'm just like, God, their films that don't age.
Have you seen it in 4K, dude? Bad Boys in 4K looks nice.
Yes, it's like
we were in the theater seeing Waiting to Exhale, and the trailer for Bad Boys, that first one came up. I was living in DC at the time, and we were fucking mesmerized. We were like, we cannot wait till this comes out. Like that first.
How about that moaning scene in Waiting to Exhale?
Wait, oh my God! Like
it's like I forget it's in the middle of the film, but my mom was watching it, and all I heard was like, sexual noises.
Oh, look, I don't. And there's so much good stuff that happens in that film. I don't remember. I haven't watched it in forever.
Then all I heard was I was just like, Mom, what are you watching? She's like, look that way. I was like,
probably like the Layla Roshan, Wendell Pierce like scene or something like when
I think it's that one.
Because it's such an awkward comedic sex scene. So I'm sure and Wendell Pierce has to play this, this funny, this kind of nerdy guy and all these other things. And it's, it's such an interesting, but the great Gregory Hines,
But we've reached the 220 mark. And we're doing a refresh for the record. It's 12:31 a.m. Thursday, November 5th. Joe Biden is still at 264 electoral votes. 270 to win. Donald Trump is at a stunning 214.
He still hasn't moved? Wow. He's gonna fight that, dude. He's gonna fight that.
So before we end, I like to get each one of your predictions for the next couple of days.
Okay.
I'll start with Dana. Okay. And I love the name Dan. I like that. That's
Oh my Lord.
So what do you think is what's gonna transpire the next couple of days? And we're documenting this for the records to see if we actually hit the nail on the head and the Vegas odds hit, because I will be searching for wagers. So
okay, and I have stories about everything, but I would say I was on someone else's radio show, and I don't know if we could ever. I'm sure we could find it because she kept her archives. But I said in 2010 that I thought Kamala Harris would go all the way. I knew when she was running for Attorney General. I knew then. I said if y'all, I believe, and I remember saying it, and I was like, I believe she can go all the way. I believed that 10 years ago. So just say that. So my prediction though for this that we sit in now is I believe Biden with Nevada. I believe that Nevada is probably going to come in before they figure out Pennsylvania. And I think that will do it for us.
Wow.
I'm scared I would like to go on record for predicting Pennsylvania as being flipped, but I keep looking at it, and it's a hard one to look at to kind of figure that out. I
love the symbolism of you putting a bet on Nevada.
Right.
I was going to say, because that's where the odds are always, which is funny. I never knew how that worked. I mean, I know it's all computer based, but well, let me ask you this, Dana. Do you think this is going to go to the Supreme Court?
Whew. Gosh.
Hope not.
That's a hard one to answer because I don't think it should. I don't think that there will be a basis, but do I think that that he might? Gosh, that's a hard one. And I just want to be solid. I don't want to, because I want, when you play the recording back. Now, what did Dana actually say? Dana says Joe Biden with Nevada, just so that's 100%. But Supreme Court, fuck. I'm going to say no.
Okay.
I'm going to say
cool. No. All right. Golden Child.
Right.
That's it. Coming out on Blu-ray finally, December 1st, with Coming to America in 4K and Beverly Hills Cop in 4K, and December 18th. December 18th on Amazon Prime, we get Coming to America Part 2.
In the tailpipe, man.
Coming to America Part 2 on Amazon Prime, baby. I can't wait.
Oh my God.
2020, Coming to America 2. That's what I predict.
Right, you
December
just
18th.
you just made me change again. This was another favorite, Trading Places. Just fucking.
Oh,
my
classic,
gosh.
classic.
Yes. Merry New Year. It's Happy New Year. So what do you say? What do you say, Stefan? What's going to happen in the next couple of days?
Well, I'll tell you what I'd like, and then I can tell you what I think. Honestly, what I'd like is just to be fucking over with, dude. I just want it over. I just want whoever's gonna win just to fucking win, so we can fucking move on. Just move on.
We need a higher vibration than that, Stefan. We need
because weren't they saying like the seats are 50-50 now? 50% Republican, 50% Democrat, so nothing's gonna get done anyway. So I'm trying to be optimistic, but I see that shit and I'm like, fuck.
Like, who's the ones pulling the strings?
Yeah, how? But
did
then
that
again,
now did that really fucking happen? That the House and the Senate are split?
Let me update that right now. Now it's 46 Dem, 48 Republican.
For the House,
the House. But 51 for majority. So it's the AP has called 31 of the 35 seats up for election. So they're not finalized yet. Although the House does belong so far to the Democratic Party. So
okay, but you're saying that right now the Senate is 48 is
yeah.
Okay, all right. So there's still
the Senate is 48 for Republican Party and 46 for the Democrats.
Yeah, we lost a lot of really good people running, did not win.
Yeah.
So high vibes up for Raphael Warnock in Georgia. I know we're trying to get Stefan's answer, but I just want to put that vibration out there. I've been donating to his campaign, and certainly we were all sorely disappointed that Jamie Harrison did not take Lindsey Graham. And my feelings, I actually felt like I was going to cry on that one, only because that he lost. I get it, but that he lost by like a wide margin, and for how hard he really, really went after it. I thought that it was going to go, better than that. I mean, Tuberville slaughtered Doug Jones in Alabama. That was a straight slaughter.
Yeah.
But
I am happy AOC won her seat.
Right,
right?
The squad won. So Ilhan Omar, AOC, Ayanna Pressley, whose campaign I also supported. I think there's 3 on the squad. 4 is it? They call themselves the squad.
I think there's 4 of them.
4, and it's Ilhan, Ayanna, AOC. Who's the other one? I can't.
I know who you're talking about, but I don't remember the name. I know who you're talking about though.
I'll figure out why y'all answer.
Those are my people. Let's see. And as far as what's going to happen, well, he's it's been predicted already. He's not going to leave, dude. He's going to fight until they force him out. So it's going to be drag out as long as it possibly can be. He can call he wins tomorrow. That's fine. But unfortunately, because he's the sitting president, there is some shit he can do that nobody probably has done ever before. And I hope he don't do it. But we know his current record for the past 4 years. Is he really going to leave peacefully? Not at all.
Do you predict he's going to get the boot like Uncle Phil used to pick out DJ Jazzy Jeff?
Well, what it is I don't remember the name of it, but there's something that he can do. And I wish I could remember the name of the damn thing because otherwise I'm going to sound like an idiot. But he has a thing where he can make it to where there's he can contest it, saying it's close. Obviously, we know looking at the numbers now, it's not that close, but we don't have all the votes in. We don't have all the votes in. So if all the votes do come in, and let's say they're saying Biden is 271, and Trump comes in with all votes counted, and it's 268, right? He's going to fight and say that some of the ballots cannot be counted. This is something they predicted before, and he's already doing.
We're going to throw away the ones with the Mexican names.
Jorge, Jesus. Oh yeah, so they're saying
how do you know they're the same person when they have the same first?
It's not great.
It's not great.
Name. It's not great. I didn't do great in Nevada, so Nevada can't be counted.
Isn't it funny how after his claims about who comes from Mexico, the Republicans are ones proving that they're not bringing their best people.
Exactly.
Well, and that's the thing. So they're saying he can contest it and I'll put it on hold for 79 days. I don't remember what it's called. What that's called, but I looked up the stuff and he can fucking do that because he's the sitting president. He can fucking do it until they can get him out. Yeah, he can cause a lot of fucking problems. And the thing with the whole Supreme Court, and I'm hoping it doesn't go there, we're as far as Democrats go, we're outnumbered by 2.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have enough of a love for guillotines in this country.
But do you think that if once the votes are tallied, what would be the basis for bringing, like, like, I know he's threatening to sue, and I know he can do all those things, but it just doesn't sound like there are enough question marks to crack all that open. And I would, as much as I'm not a fan of the Supreme Court, if they cannot find the legal precedent to to do, for this whole 79-day thing, I'm wondering, what would be the basis for any of that? Like, what I'm saying?
No, I agree. I just want it over with.
And I'll say this: the Supreme Court actually impressed me as it sits. Amy Coney wasn't in on it, but a police officer was hit in the face with a rock in the Alton Sterling protest in Baton Rouge, and nose, eye, I think brain damage. If I read correctly, he actually had a case where he was suing Black Lives Matter, as well as, I think, Derek Feason, who's the head of that movement, took it to the Louisiana Supreme Court, and they ruled in his favor. But it came to the Supreme Court of the United States, and they struck down Louisiana's decision, saying that that Louisiana had not researched the law properly, and you cannot file a suit against a social organization because. So I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that was a good day, in the words of Ice Cube. That was a good day. And I just and even though Amy Coney was not in on the decision, because much like the other decision that she wasn't in on last week, she hadn't read all the information. My hope is not necessarily restored, but I was like, but okay, that works. And then, of course, the only person to write a fucking dissenting opinion was fucking Clarence Thomas. I'm like, what? But I mean, we know, again, another one, not skin folk, but not kinfolk. Like another. And we knew that, like, I was in college when that one happened. So we just was like, what?
He's a lizard, Harry.
Anything, whatever. Anyway, so I'm not trying to co-opt you, Stefan, but there's just
you're good.
There's a lot here. I mean, I know, everybody, there's a lot here.
Yeah, I just hope it's over with, honestly. I hope that's not what happens. But yeah, I don't see him leaving easily. He doesn't seem like a person who can lose gracefully. He seems like the type of person that you have to pull out of the car, like that naughty kid you told to get out of the car. He knows he's going to get the spanking, right? He knows he's going to get the spanking. But what does he do? He holds on to the seatbelt, even though the door's open, and everyone tries to pull his ass out. He's going to hold on till he can't hold no more. That's what I think.
That's why you're getting the pinch under the arm. No one sees this, bitch. Get out of the car.
What were you going to say, Dan? Your turn.
So how about you, Harry Butt?
Harry Buttiches. Harry Buttiches.
Oh, you're European.
I am Harry Buttiches. Okay, so what's going to happen is there's going to be a wizard come out of the sky, and he's going to tell everybody, you play Chinese checkers, I pull your pants down, spank you 3 times.
There you go. Got my Harry Potter wand, my mini Harry Potter wand.
And then what is going to happen is then there's going to be unicorns that come by and make everybody eat Nutella on the tips of knives and tell you, don't bite down too hard, you're going to hurt your tongue.
Very tasty.
And that's what's going to happen over the next 2 days. You watch.
That is amazing.
Well, that sounds a lot better than what might actually happen.
Exactly.
I have no idea, but actually, on a serious note, when I saw that Trump might have won, I was trying to think of the positive. And even if he does win, there is a positive to it, just in case he wins. I mean, yes, I voted for Biden for damage mitigation.
I voted for him too. I'm giving him a 4-year chance.
Yeah, because I didn't want to see anything go more evangelical in this fucking country. And they have a big, strong stranglehold over the GOP, and I don't like Puritans. So I'm fine with people that live and let live with their religion, but they are Puritans, and it bugs the shit out of me. And just what's that Dimmu Borgir album? Puritanical Misanthropic Euphoria.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord.
And so but if Trump does win, what I would hope would happen is the Democratic Party goes, you know what? Maybe this centrist shit doesn't work anymore. Maybe we finally need somebody that's actually going to come out and fight for things that are in the polls that people want, like universal health care and subsidized college. And there's I'm forgetting it right now, but there's a conservative thing that a lot of people want immigration reform to make it safer for the immigrants and for the citizens. And we don't have any candidate that's coming out saying, I'm for all these biggest polling things yet.
Yep.
And now I am hoping, Joe, I know you're watching Joe Biden. You watch all the shit I do. Work on some of that shit if you get in there.
Yeah.
Please.
Like,
Because then you're going to solidify it for the next Democrat that gets in. It won't be the same cycle of, well, the Democrats didn't really do anything lasting when they got in, so I guess we'll try these guys again. You know, and so this time we need to do stuff with teeth. You need to have the balls to do stuff that, I mean, when Republicans get in, they solidify things forever, basically, like the corporate tax cuts. Do some of that shit. Make it forever. Don't be like, oh, well, we're gonna leave it up to this. No, just make some shit forever. That's good.
Yeah.
So let's hope that he does that, and let's hope that they don't do the corporate Democrat thing that has happened in the last few years where people lose faith in the Democrats because nothing really changes for the average man. But I voted for him because I look at the GOP and I go, you fuckers are crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not with that at all.
Well, you know, I'm like I said, I'm gonna give him 4 years if he wins, and if nothing is done in the 4 years or even started, then that next time, nope.
Democrat till I die. That's all I got to say.
Well, I'm a lefty probably till I die, but that doesn't mean I'm a Democrat. And it's just like I find that I have a lot of libertarian friends. Libertarians aren't exactly GOP people. They're on the right. But it's interesting that me being a left libertarian and them being a right libertarian, we agree on like 90% of stuff. The biggest thing we disagree on is, can you trust business to do the right thing if it has no rules? That's the biggest disagreement, because I'm like, of course you can't. Like someone brought it up once, well, does regulations make anything better? We needed regulations to end slavery. We needed regulations to end child labor. We needed regulations to stop using lead paint on toys after they learned it was bad for us. We needed regulations to stop using asbestos. We needed regulations to let women vote. We needed do I have to keep the list going of what regulations actually do for people? So when someone says regulations don't make anything better, you got a short fucking memory, bud. Like that, like
the record speaks for itself, and they kept the receipts, man. So
unfortunately,
you are alive today. Your life stands on the gains of regulations.
So when you're anti-regulation, it's like you're not good with history, are you?
I'll give you my prediction, and this is bold because I have good foresight with what happens in the Senate, the House, and of course at the federal level. We're gonna get 4 years of Biden, but in 4 years, guess who turns 35?
AOC.
Correct. And I have a feeling that's going to be
I'd be happy with that
first woman president of the United States of America.
I'm all in, brother.
I'd be happy with that.
I would be happy. I would actually, even in Democrats, I would vote for AOC
because she's actually an actual progressive, and
and she'll actually speak the fuck up. A lot of these people don't say shit.
Yep.
They just cower. I'm sorry.
The only other candidate that was, kind of as vocal as she is now is Tulsi Gabbard. But of course, she has her own track record as well. But what happened with AOC is she is the product of the two divorced parents that are fighting for a custody battle. And she's like, both of you guys are wrong. I'm the one that's suffering. I'm the one that's feeling like shit. And this is what I need to do to make myself feel better without both of your guys' help.
And by the way, Dad, the air mattress sucks.
Exactly. And that's the byproduct of not a failed system, but a broken system. And I have a feeling she will be the next, if it's not Kamala,
right?
Due to whatever goes on with Joe in the next 4 years, which is also pretty possible.
Right.
It'll be Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I'm calling it right now.
Yeah,
I believe. Here's the thing. Sadly enough, I believe it because when you said, I was like, well, what about Kamala? But the thing is, I probably in that case, I would probably, depending on how it's going in terms of who's working for the nomination, because that's the other thing that we've got to, I guess, stay in consideration of is that we're still kind of in this two-party system, even though there's a proliferation of of great other parties and great other movements. AOC, I think the only challenge she may face is will she be strong enough to run and win as an independent, or will she come to the two parties? And And that's the only thing I don't. And here's the thing, I still don't necessarily think that you're off. I just think that's what I'm wanting to see how that part.
Well, this is why no matter what you believe, get involved in your local elections because that's where it actually starts.
That's all I preach around here. That's all we preach is down the ballot. Like everything we want to see in police reform, they can do things at the federal level, but until the sheriffs that we elect, until the judges that we elect, until all that changes radically and people will seriously sit down. Like we voted hard to get Jackie Lacey out. She's the fuck out. George Gaston is in, but we're going to have to still hold his feet to the fire because he's never brought charges either. He's never brought even, he as an AG of, I guess wherever he was, he's never brought charges either. So we just at this point, we know after 3 terms of Jackie Lacey, it's very clear she's not, when given the opportunity, she's not going to bring charges. So we're definitely
absolutely
prayerfully people, because when Obama was elected, I was just like, we still got to look at this. I said, you're at the federal level, your president is your defense guy, he is your tax guy, and he is your foreign policy guy. The rest of it, your local is where the rest of it happens. He's
the district manager that pops in once a week to see how sales are going.
Right. We love who we get. There's a preference for who should be there as district manager, but you still got to deal with your store manager. You still got to deal with a fucking floor supervisor. If you work in retail, I'm a banana
key holder.
Right. Who's opening the door every morning?
Yeah, exactly. So key holder. Yeah. On that note, I just want to say one thing before we go is one assignment that I like to give people in general is learn what district you're in first and foremost. People do not even know what district they're in. They don't even know their district reps. They don't know their city council. It's like it starts right there and it trickles all the way up. And I highly encourage, especially the youth, that even though you can't vote right now, get to know that stuff, at least the basic fundamental things. So that way, maybe it could plant a seed, and that's what it starts. It starts with the youth. But like, for example, I use the analogy of music. It's like plant the seed with music to see what kind of style that you're gonna. And I cannot get over that name, Dan. That's amazing. Wow. I lost my train of thought now because of that. Well, anyway, the moral of the story is get involved, educate each other on that. On that note, we'll see what happens in the next couple of days. I want to thank each and every one of you for being on the podcast. Before we go, I want to throw up Therapy of the Absurd, which is tomorrow at 8 p.m. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Pacific Standard Time. Who do we got tomorrow, everybody?
Tomorrow,
Ada Rodriguez.
Ada
Rodriguez and Mark Brazil, the co-creator of That 70s Show.
That's
and
right.
Come to find out, he's also I don't remember if it's just writing or he's also co-creator, I believe, but Third Rock from the Sun, and he's a comedian.
Oh wow, awesome. Okay.
So we got that going on.
Tune in. Yeah.
And our normal silly stuff as well.
Yeah, that's the great. I can't wait for the Ask Reddit segment of the
podcast.
Well,
we now do that every once in a while because what we found out is that we spend so much time talking to our guests, we would start to go over on things. So we decided we have less segments, but it's the same amount of time. And just because we all talk a lot, you can tell.
And Dan still touches himself. There's still plenty of time for that, so we're okay.
Ooh.
300, such a visually stunning one.
By the way, when you're a fat guy on Halloween, you just put on a child's like My Little Pony mask and touch your nipples. You're the scariest costume ever. Many people
Dan.
just run away. Like you're just like, hey, give me candy. They're hilarious. Like, no, you've had enough.
You will get arrested. I will never open my door.
And charged. And be a registered
let me in.
Offender.
COVID is over. I'm in a brony costume. Let me in. Fuck no, buddy.
Seriously, fellow fat guys, you get that cheap $2 mask that's made of plastic. Doesn't matter what else you're wearing from neck
the
down.
Dollar Tree.
You're scary as shit and you know it. So, especially with the beard coming out from underneath it.
But hey, thank each and every one of you for being on tonight, and thank everyone on for tuning in, especially in the comment section. Shout out to Boris. Much love to Boris Bonillo. Thank you again, and peace out.
Peace, you guys.